Chapter 1250. Yellow Spring Water? Xiao He, are you sure you're not mistaken? Yi Qinghan's entire body trembled as he stared at Xiao He with a fiery gaze. It had been more than 3,000 years. It would have been fine if he had been in seclusion, as it would have passed in the blink of an eye. However, he had been walking step by step. After walking for more than 3,000 years, it was easy to imagine how difficult these days had been. That's right, boss. Hurry up, follow me. Xiao He nodded his head before turning around and flying forward excitedly. Yi Qinghan hurriedly ran as fast as he could while extending his consciousness forward. Half an hour later, when Yi Qinghan's consciousness locked onto a trickling yellow river, his entire body trembled and his eyes became moist. Yellow Spring River. That's right, it's the Yellow Spring River. Yi Qinghan was like a wild horse that had broken free of its reins as he ran frantically. It didn't take long before a yellow river appeared before his eyes. One end of the river had emerged from the ground, while the other end was flowing into the distance. It was unknown where it was flowing to, as it was obscured by the white mist. Yi Qinghan stood weakly by the river, his back bent as he breathed heavily. His eyes were frighteningly bright, as though he was looking at his most beloved goddess. God damn it, I've been looking for you for 3,500 years. I've finally found you. If the yellow spring hadn't been poisonous, Yi Qinghan would have already jumped into it. Xiao He grinned as he watched the trickling yellow river. It was as though he was looking at the sweetest spring in the world. After resting for a while, Yi Qinghan meditated for a while to recover his strength. However, he started to worry. The yellow spring water was poisonous. He didn't have any divine power, so he couldn't draw out his origin source to protect himself. How was he going to get out? Although the cold power in his spiritual space was incomparably overbearing, Yi Qinghan didn't dare waste it. It was meant to be used against strong enemies. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Yi Qinghan wouldn't use it. That's right, I have the Fire God battle armor. Although it's hidden in my body, it should be able to protect me automatically. Yi Qinghan remembered the number one supreme spiritual treasure in the divine world. This Fire God battle armor didn't need any divine power and could automatically absorb the heaven and earth essence energy. With a thought, the Fire God battle armor appeared on his body. Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand and dipped it into the yellow spring water. As expected, as soon as his hand touched it, the arm guard on his hand immediately emitted a fiery red light, enveloping his entire hand. The netherworld spring water was unable to touch his skin at all. Little Black, enter the slaughter god saber. We are going home. Yi Qinghan didn't know whether the spring water would lead him. Heavens hey, Sue. Then Yi Qinghan hee. Although Yi Qinghan wasn't sure if the yellow springs would ultimately lead to the reincarnation plane, it didn't matter where it led to, as long as he could leave this godforsaken space. After swimming for a while, Yi Qinghan realized that the yellow spring water had entered the ground, and the light had dimmed. Once the Fire God battle armor was activated, it could last for 3 months. Yi Qinghan wasn't afraid and continued to swim forward quickly. Plop! After swimming for a while, Yi Qinghan realized that the soil above his head was moving. After that, countless corpses fell down. These corpses were obviously from above, but he didn't know how they had fallen down. Could this really be the 9 Nether Realm? Are those ghostly winds all spirits? Could these corpses have died because they fell into the spatial whirlpool and were teleported here? Yi Qinghan thought suspiciously. When he thought of the ghostly winds everywhere and the terrifying soul attacks, his hair stood on end. Other than the 9 Nether Realm, Yi Qinghan couldn't think of any other place that was so strange and so huge. However, this place was covered in white fog. There might be some kind of restriction here. After walking for more than 3,000 years, he might have been walking in circles in a few places. From the looks of it, other than the god emperors and supreme martial artists, no one else knew where this place was. Yi Qinghan simply stopped thinking about it and focused on moving forward. However, the yellow springs had been circling in circles for 3 months and still hadn't come out. Helpless, Yi Qinghan could only forcefully use a trace of cold energy to break out of the ground. Once again, he returned to the gray space. 100 million? The ground is actually restoring itself. No wonder those corpses could fall down on their own. After breaking out of the ground, Yi Qinghan looked at the hole beside him strangely. It was actually healing slowly. He sat down cross-legged to recover his strength, waiting for the fire god battle armor to automatically absorb the heaven-earth yuan qi and recover the energy inside. 3 days later, Yi Qinghan activated the fire god battle armor again and broke out of the ground. He swam down into the yellow springs. This time, he didn't have any distracting thoughts and swam at full speed. The yellow springs flowed on the ground in a crooked manner. Occasionally, it would come out, but only for a short distance before burrowing back into the ground. God damn it. How long do I need to go out? If I don't use the yellow springs, I will be finished if the entire space revolves once. How many years will that take? Yi Qinghan had already broken out of the ground twice in a row. He had been stealthily moving for 6 months, but he was still moving in circles underground. However, he thought about how Shinta Xiong could come out, and it only took him a few months. Yi Qinghan didn't believe that his luck would be so bad that he would be trapped here forever. The 8th month. Finally, Yi Qinghan felt that the yellow springs was a little strange. The yellow springs suddenly circled in one place and flowed downwards. The river water also became extremely fast. He was shocked. It seemed that he was about to get out of this damn place. However, the yellow springs kept flowing underground. It had been a whole month, but Yi Qinghan still hadn't seen the end. At this moment, the fire god battle armor was about to run out of energy and hide in his body. Yi Qinghan was very anxious. He didn't know how far he was from the surface. Even if he used the cold energy to break out of the ground, he didn't know how many days it would take and how much energy he would need. In this damned place, he didn't dare to teleport recklessly. In desperation, Yi Qinghan could only grit his teeth and hide the fire god battle armor, letting the yellow springs water soak him. Chi. As soon as the yellow springs water touched Yi Qinghan's skin, it began to corrode instantly. He felt as if his whole body was being bitten by billions of ants. It was as if his whole body was soaked in sulfuric acid, and it was extremely painful. Fortunately, because Yi Qinghan was injured, the soul ring began to automatically protect its owner. The milky white airflow flowed through his meridians, and wherever it passed, his body would immediately recover. The airflow in the soul ring was extremely comfortable, and he felt extremely comfortable from head to toe. However, the yellow springs water outside immediately began to corrode his skin. At this moment, Yi Qinghan felt as if he was in a sauna in his previous life, and a beautiful woman was serving him with ice cubes and red wine. The 9 heavens of ice and fire. Yi Qinghan's speed reached its limit, and he darted around like a rain of arrows. Finally, after 3 days, the fire god battle armor recovered, and Yi Qinghan finally got rid of those painful yet happy days. There's light in front. Tui, it's coming out. It's the exit. The dark days of the Two-Moon Queen and Yi Qinghan finally came to an end. When he saw that the light in front of him was getting brighter, he saw the yellow springs water flowing out of a spatial whirlpool, and he saw the familiar reincarnation plane in the distance. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with tears. Happiness came so suddenly. Chapter 1251. There's a strange energy in the yellow spring water that can escape the suction of the whirlpool. If it's not the yellow spring water, how could I escape the whirlpool? When Yi Qinghan entered the reincarnation dimension through the yellow spring water, Yi Qinghan looked back at the whirlpool that was like the mouth of a giant beast and swallowed his saliva with lingering fear. It's great that I'm out. The range of my divine sense has recovered. I don't want to stay in that damn place for a second longer. Yi Qinghan was like a bird that escaped from a cage. He swam happily in the yellow spring water, but his divine sense began to explore the reincarnation dimension. He wasn't sure if Shinta Xiong would wait for him in the reincarnation mystic realm. Although he had a feeling that he could fight Shinta Xiong with the power of cold was too little. If he attacked with all his strength, he would only have enough energy for 10 attacks. Therefore, when facing Shinta Xiong, Yi Qinghan was a little scared. there's someone at the entrance? Yi Qinghan's face turned cold. He discovered that there were people guarding the reincarnation mountain in the reincarnation dimension. He immediately stopped moving and carefully examined the area. Ah, it's Jida's people. After a while, Yi Qinghan learned from the conversation of a few martial artists that Jida had arranged for them to guard here. He was overjoyed. Then his divine sense circled the reincarnation mystic realm a few times. After confirming that Shinta Xiong wasn't there, he immediately shot out. Oh, there's someone. At the mouth of the yellow spring water, a group of godly king martial artists saw a fiery red figure emerging. Their faces tightened as they activated their divine power and prepared to attack. Humph! Yi Qinghan didn't use the power of cold. A strange light flashed in his eyes as he released his soul skill, soul illusion. This group of God King realm martial artist souls were pitifully weak. In an instant, they all fell into the illusion and retreated together in fear. Yi Qinghan looked at the familiar scene and smelled the fragrant air. He felt refreshed from head to toe. I'm back, it feels great to be back. Another narrow escape from death. Yi Qinghan felt like he had been reborn. Xiaohei, we're finally back. Yi Qinghan immediately sent a telepathic message to Xiaohei. Xiaohei transformed into a shadow and appeared instantly. Seeing that it was the reincarnation plane, he immediately turned into a netherworld and flew over. He flew a few rounds in the reincarnation plane before flying back. He shouted from afar, "Ha, boss, we are finally back." Yi Qinghan steadied his emotions. Then, he removed the soul illusion and shouted at the warriors, "All of you, come here." When the warriors saw that the white fog in front of them had disappeared, they hurriedly knelt down in front of Yi Qinghan in fear and said, "Greetings, my lord. Just now, we mistakenly thought that it was a monster from the Yellow Springs and offended my lord. Please forgive us." "Where is big brother Jida?" Yi Qinghan asked urgently. Then he realized that they would definitely not know. So, he quickly changed his words and said, "He is the level 9 expert who arranged for you to guard here." "Oh, you're asking about that lord?" The warriors suddenly realized and said, "That lord will come here to check every year." "My lord, it's not a coincidence. That lord came here half a year ago. I estimate that he will only come back after another half a year." "Huh?" Yi Qinghan was overjoyed. Jida and the others were really outside the reincarnation plane. He gritted his teeth and released a trace of cold power. Then, he shot up into the sky and shouted at Xiaohei, "Xiaohei, let's go to the endless void. The enchantress, Shui must be outside. Let's go." When Xiaohei heard Li Shui-er's name, he immediately turned into a gust of wind and floated up into the sky. Cold power. The incomparably strong and overbearing energy made Yi Qinghan's speed more than 3 times faster than before. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the side of the origin energy. When Xiaohei came up, the human and the soul immediately drilled out of the plane. After flashing through the passage between the vortexes, Yi Qinghan's divine sense immediately radiated in all directions. However, there was nothing in the endless void. There was no 9-story pagoda standing quietly outside, waiting for the two of them to return, as Yi Qinghan and Xiaohei had imagined. He came here half a year ago. He couldn't have left immediately. Yi Qinghan sighed helplessly. Since Jida could come here once a year, it meant that Shinta Xiong had already returned to the divine realm. Nothing could have happened to Jida and the others. The power of cold was being consumed too quickly. It was impossible for Yi Qinghan to search in the endless void. He could only bitterly bring Xiaohei back to the reincarnation plane. In the end, Yi Qinghan and Xiaohei didn't even enter for half a day before the Soul Emperor Pavilion slowly flew over. Then it started to circle around the 4 vortexes outside the reincarnation plane. Half a year later, under the hopeful gazes of a group of people, Jida flashed out of the Soul Emperor Pavilion again and flew towards the reincarnation plane. However, no one had any hope in their hearts. After all, Jida had entered thousands of times. Jida also didn't have much hope. In his heart, he was thinking of finding a few more beauties to fool around with. His private life was a little messy. In the past, when he was a god bandit leader, he had a lot of wives and concubines. After becoming the Misty Sovereign, he had even more beauties. He couldn't live without a woman every night, so life is really as lonely as snow. I don't have any pursuits. I can only feel the meaning of life when I'm on a fresh and beautiful woman's body. Jita shook his head and muttered to himself. He entered the reincarnation plane. Before he spread out his divine senses, he felt a divine sense locking onto him. The domineering divine sense was filled with a piercingly cold intent, giving Jita a fright. "Big brother Jita!" Then, there was a deafening roar. Jita's body trembled, and he almost fell from the sky. His face was filled with joy as he cried out involuntarily, "Little Hans?" When his divine sense locked onto the main city of the Luan continent, the Luan Sword City Square, there was a fiery red figure waving at him. Jidihu's tears were boiling as he flew downwards rapidly. Before he got close, he punched Yi Qinghan with force. He was crying and laughing at the same time as he roared, "Little Han, I knew it. I knew you would come out alive." "Ha! Little Han, what are you playing at?" Boom! Because Jita was too excited, he casually punched. He didn't expect that Yi Qinghan's body would suddenly fly out and smash a hole in the mayor's mansion of the Sword Wheel City. "Jita, you idiot. Boss's body is in a bit of a condition now. If you hurt Boss, Lord Xiaohei, will pull your pants." A shadowy figure suddenly appeared and shouted at Gid. However, there was a smile on its face. Jita recalled that Yi Qinghan didn't fly up, but waited here. He then saw Yi Qinghan stumbling out of the mayor's mansion. His expression changed as he said in horror, "Ah, how did this happen? I didn't use any strength in that punch. Little Han, he..." Sigh. It's hard to say anything. "Big brother Jita, bring me back to the Soul Emperor Pavilion first." Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly as he walked out. There were too many people around, so he didn't explain too much. Jita quickly took Yi Qinghan and flew up into the sky. Xiaohei immediately followed. Yi Qinghan didn't want to waste the power of cold, so he didn't fly up to meet Jita. Jita punched him and didn't defend himself. However, once he was out of the endless void, Yi Qinghan's divine sense immediately locked onto the Soul Emperor Pavilion outside. His body suddenly trembled, and he couldn't care less. He circulated the power of cold, and with a shio sound, he disappeared from Jita's side. In the next second, he appeared next to the Soul Emperor Pavilion. Jita blinked and discovered that Yi Qinghan had actually disappeared. In the next second, he appeared next to the Soul Emperor Pavilion hundreds of thousands of miles away. He was dumbfounded. He was stunned for a moment before he turned to Xiaohei and said with dissatisfaction, "F***CK. Young Master Xiaohei, did you and Little Han work together to play a trick on me? This speed, how is there a problem with his body? His strength has definitely increased by several times. He has reached the 9th grade Supreme Martial Artist? Wow. Shen Tu Xiong, let's see how you survive this time." Chapter 1252. It was late autumn in the Fire Dragon continent. The autumn wind was cool and comfortable, but the falling leaves also gave people a sense of desolation. The dark forest was even more desolate. Pieces of yellow leaves fluttered in the wind, covering the entire dark forest. Countless magical beasts were nesting in their own territories, enjoying the afternoon sun and indulging in the atmosphere of late autumn. Bang, bang! Suddenly, the sound of trees being hit came from afar. Then, countless magical beasts began to run around in fear. Even the overlord of the forest, the holy beast green-toothed tiger, ran away in fear. For a moment, the dark forest was in a state of chaos. "Huh, you low-level beasts! How dare you run away instead of kneeling down when you see me? Are you rebelling?" A delicate shout was followed by an earth-shattering roar. A huge divine aura immediately enveloped the surroundings. All the escaping magical beasts withered immediately and crawled on the ground, shivering. Even the holy beast green-toothed tiger was no exception. Swoosh! A beautiful white unicorn horse flew over from the other side of the forest. The white horse was snow white without a single strand of mixed hair. Its four hooves were as black as charcoal, making this divine steed even more extraordinary. However, none of the magical beasts looked at the white horse. Instead, they looked at the pink-clothed lady on the white horse in fear and trepidation. The lady looked to be around 20 years old. She had a delicate figure and a delicate face. Her big, sparkling eyes were full of spirit. If she went to the god realm, she would definitely be a femme fatale. You big cat, how dare you run away when you see me? I'll punish you by making you fall on a tree for 3 days and 3 nights. If you dare to be lazy, I'll pull out your tiger teeth next time I see you. The beautiful lady waved her fist. The holy beast green-toothed tiger immediately went limp. It quickly climbed up a giant tree, hooked its tail on the trunk, and hung upside down with a crying face. That's more like it. I'm not going to play with you guys anymore. I'm going to see my grandaunt. The lady clapped her hands in satisfaction. Then, she caressed the unicorn horse's head and shouted, "Little White, go to my grandaunt. I haven't seen her for a few months. I miss her." The white horse stomped on the ground and dashed towards the dark castle like a sharp sword. In just a few blinks of an eye, it appeared beside the dark castle. The beautiful girl's slender feet lightly tapped on the horse's back, and her whole body flew up to the rooftop like a nimble swallow. She immediately rushed under the grape trellis and embraced a woman dressed in red. She kissed her face and said with a sweet smile, "Great aunt, Yao Yao missed you so much." Of course, the woman in red was Lord Devour. Looking at the eccentric woman in front of him, he showed a loving face. However, he sighed and said, "Yao Yao, you've transformed for a long time. You're a big girl now, but you're still as naughty as a kid." Hee hee. Yao Yao will always be a child by my side. When Yao Yao goes out, she will be an adult. Many people are afraid of Yao Yao. The girl was none other than Xiao Hei's daughter, Demon Devourer. A few thousand years ago, she had already broken through to the God Dwarf's transformation stage. It was just that her personality was the same as her father's, weird and mischievous. She would never grow up to be normal. My Yao Yao is awesome. Of course, people will be afraid of you." Lord Devourer looked at the little girl in front of him, his heavy heart easing a little bit. This child was just like her father. She was always so innocent and cute. In the Fire Dragon continent, Demon Devourer had such a noble status. Who dared not to please her? "Great aunt, didn't you say that my uncle, my mother, and my father would be back soon? Why haven't they come back after so many years?" Demon Devourer nodded to Lord Jiu, who was walking up the stairs. She grabbed a spirit fruit on the table and started to gnaw on it. She cocked her head and asked curiously, "They'll be back soon. I guess they will be back soon." Lord Devourer felt pain in his eyes, but he hid it well. Demon Devourer didn't notice it. Of course, Lord Devourer and the others wouldn't tell Demon Devourer that Yi Qinghan had fallen into the space vortex. Since this child was innocent and happy, he would let her be happy for a while. However, how long could this happy time last? Lord Devourer looked at the horizon, feeling a little disappointed. There was still 1 year left in Shinta Xiong's 3-year agreement. The 3 envoys were still living in the Dark Castle. If they didn't return after 3 years, they would either die, or they wouldn't bring back the people Shinta Xiong had appointed. Shinta Xiong was so crazy that he would definitely force someone to bring Mo Shanghuang and the Hidden Sovereign into the Fire Dragon continent. If either Mo Shanghuang or the Hidden Sovereign came in, the space of the Fire Dragon plane would collapse immediately. The powerful space would distort, and all the creatures in the Fire Dragon continent would be turned into ashes. In the past 2 years, they had thought of many ways, but they couldn't solve this crisis. If they brought their families away, Shinta Xiong would probably kill them in the endless void. Even if they left, so what? This world was so big. Where could they live in peace? Reincarnation's secret land? Beast's secret technique? Fire God's secret land? Lord Devourer and the Soul Emperor had taken 2 Soul Emperor Divine Crystals from Shinta Xiong. Yi Qinghan had killed 2 of Shinta Xiong's sons. They had become sworn enemies. Shinta Xiong would never let them go. Even if they hid at the ends of the earth, Shinta Xiong would find them, kill them, and bring their heads back to the immortal world. He would stabilize the immortal world. Shinto Shion was at the peak of ninth grade supreme martial artist. Who in the immortal world could be his match? Was it fate? Lord Devour's eyes became confused. She didn't even hear the demon devouring demons call. She looked at the sky in a daze, thinking of the soul-devouring beast and Yi Qinghan from countless years ago. She sighed. If only the Soul Emperor and Yi Qinghan were here, then she wouldn't have to worry about this. Little Han sighed. You haven't come out yet, right? You are not Shinto Shion's opponent. Cultivate hard and take revenge for us. Let's think of a way to send these kids away first. Lord Devour turned around to look at the demon-devouring demon. He revealed a loving smile, but his eyes were resolute. As she was about to send a message to Li Quan and the others to discuss, a faint air-breaking sound came from the sky. Then, Lord Devour's eyes brightened. Swish! Many figures flew out from Tsang City, looking at the sky excitedly. 3 figures also flew out from the dark castle. Mo Xiao Xiao, Emperor Yu, and Emperor Yi stood on the castle, looking at the sky excitedly. Lord Devour didn't move. He waved his hand and opened the god domain, covering the entire dark castle. The 3 5th-grade war god messengers of the immortal world lived in the castle. The Soul Emperor Pavilion came back. They had gone out for several thousand years to fetch Yi Qinghan. Now they came back. The meaning was clear. Either Yi Qinghan came back, or Yi Qinghan's soul jade slip was broken. Grand Aunt, what's wrong? The demon-devouring demon continued to nibble on her spirit fruit. Seeing Lord Devour stand up, Lord Jiao seemed to have guessed something. She looked at the sky. Lord Devour's face had an inexplicable expression, which made her look charming. She turned to look at the demon-devouring demon and smiled. Yao Yao, your father, mother, and uncle are back. Chapter 1253. Parents? Mother? Uncle? Ah! The demon devourer quickly tossed the spirit fruit in her hand into the air like a rocket. When she saw that the Soul Emperor Pavilion had already landed in Tsang City, she immediately whistled. Her Pegasus immediately flew out and carried her like a flickering light toward Tsang City. Emperor Yu, Emperor Yi, and Mo Xiao Xiao looked at Lord Devourer. Lord Devourer smiled bitterly, nodding to them. The 3 of them disappeared in the sky, heading to Tsang City. Little Han, you're back. What should we do? It would be good if he came back 1 year later. With Little Han's temper, if he knew about Shinto Shion's 3-year agreement, he wouldn't leave alone. Seems like we have to risk our lives with Shinto Shion. He's too cruel, using the lives of billions of people in the fiery dragon continent to threaten us. Sigh. Are we destined to be wiped out? Lord Devourer sighed deeply. He wanted to arrange the juniors to leave and then let everyone risk their lives to fight Shinto Shion. He didn't expect that Yi Qinghan would come back at this critical moment. He came back to die. The atmosphere in Tsang City was so heated. Only a few people knew the news brought by the 3 messengers from the divine world. When Yi Tianlong and the others saw Yi Qinghan get out of the confinement, they were so happy that they came to welcome him. Yi Qinghan's women, Li Shui, Yi Sahan, Yi Zishi, and the demon devourer shed tears when they saw the juniors. This was especially so for Li Shui, and Little Black. When they saw a beautiful young girl calling them father and mother, their faces were filled with love and guilt. The demon devourer and the demon devourer were transforming at this critical moment, but none of them were here. Lord Devourer and Lord Jiao were late. Lord Devourer didn't have any emotion on his face, but a complicated light sparkled in his eyes. She was both happy and begrudging that Yi Qinghan was back. Lord! Yi Qinghan recognized that Lord Devourer's countenance wasn't right. She also found that Emperor Yu, Li Quan, and the others were smiling reluctantly. At this moment, she called his name, but Lord Devour just nodded slightly. She became more suspicious and hurried to send him a message. What happened? Let's talk in the castle. Lord Devour knew that he couldn't hide it from Yi Qinghan, so he could only sigh begrudgingly and teleport away. Yi Qinghan nodded at Emperor Yu, Venerable Li Quan, and Lei Jin. After giving some instructions to Yu Qingsheng and the others, he transmitted his voice to Venerable Li Quan. Teleport me to the dark castles. Although Venerable Li Quan was curious, he didn't ask much. He brought Yi Qinghan and teleported to the rooftop of the dark castle. Jida and Yanran are outside. Did you find anything when you came back? As soon as they returned to the dark castle, Lord Devour immediately threw out a question that made Yi Qinghan even more surprised. Yi Qinghan looked at everyone and said doubtfully, Jida and Yanran are waiting outside the plane. Later, I will let Yao Ji control the Soul Emperor Pavilion and go out first. It is normal to be outside the plane. I didn't find anything unusual. What's wrong, my lord? Li Quan, you tell him. Lord Devour waved his hand and picked up a cup of tea. After taking a sip, he found that it tasted a little bitter. Venerable Li Quan knitted his brows. He told them about how Shintu Xiong wanted to use billions of lives in the Flame Dragon Plane to threaten Lord Devour and the others to go out and die. Then, everybody gazed at Yi Qinghan with bright eyes. They thought that he would be so impulsive that he would immediately go to the divine world. Unexpectedly, Yi Qinghan pondered for a while. After a while, he lifted his head and asked, Are the 3 emissaries from the divine world still here? Yes, they are in the castle. However, their competence isn't high, just a 5th-grade war god. My lord has set up a barrier. They can't hear what we are saying outside. Mo Xiao Xiao answered. Good. Let them go back to the divine world. My lord, send a message to Shintu Xiong. Tell him that after 100,000 years, you will bring everyone to the divine world and surrender to him. He can kill them or torture them. What do you mean? Venerable Li Quan, the Thunder Emperor, and Mo Xiao Xiao were baffled. They didn't know what Yi Qinghan wanted to do. Lord Devour arched his brows and asked, After 100,000 years, are you sure you can deal with Shintu Xiong? All right, little Han, what's your realm now? Has your principal reached the Venerable Realm? Yi Qinghan's face became odd. He wasn't sure what realm his current realm was. He forced a smile. Don't count on my principal to break through. I've refined the primal chaos divine crystal, so my principal realm is still. Before he could finish, Lord Devour's face changed. He stood up and scolded Yi Qinghan with a stern face. What? Silly, you're too silly. Didn't I tell you? You can't refine it without reaching the 9th grade. Sayu, you've wasted a supreme treasure of heaven and earth. All right, my lord, don't be rash. Listen to me first. In fact, I didn't waste 1 primal chaos divine crystal, but 2. Yi Qinghan said reluctantly. He understood Lord Devour's feelings. She had put all her hope on him. Because he had comprehended the eternal space, he had obtained a part of space power. Lord Devour thought that after his principal reached the 9th grade, he would get another part of space power and refine the primal chaos divine crystal to reach the 9th grade supremacy stage. With the fire god armor, he would have the capital to fight against Shintu Xiong. Now that he had refined it, it meant that his hope of so many years was shattered. Of course, he was thrilled. 2. Lord Devour was stunned by Yi Qinghan, no longer talking. Li Quan and the others were so confused that they didn't say a word. My body is crippled now. I don't have any god power, and I can't gather any god power. If Senior Li Quan hadn't taken me to teleport, I would have run here. Yi Qinghan once again threw out a heavy bomb, causing everyone to be dumbfounded. Only then did he leisurely smile, circulate a trace of the power of cold, and fiercely attack the space. Boom! The space of the entire fire dragon plane was shaken. The demonic beasts in the dark forest fled as if they were facing the end of the world. The entire fire dragon continent was shaken. Where Yi Qinghan had struck, a white crack that was hundreds of meters long appeared, revealing the dark void inside. Li Quan and Lei Zhen were so shocked that they fell from their chairs onto the ground. Yi Qinghan scanned the crowd, satisfied with their faces. He grinned and said, Although I've wasted 2 primal chaos divine crystals, and the divine world can't gather god power, I've got a new kind of energy, the cold power. Cold power? What a domineering cold power. Lord Devour's eyes were as bright as the sun. He gazed at Yi Qinghan as if he wanted to melt him. Her eyes were sharp. At first glance, She could see how powerful this energy was. In the past, she could casually tear this space apart. However, Yi Qinghan was able to create a crack that was hundreds of meters long with a casual strike. This was something she could never do. At that time, she was at the upper ninth level, which meant Yi Qinghan's power was at least at the ninth level of the supreme realm. She smiled like a blossoming peony, saying happily, "I devoured Jia Wu, didn't misjudge you. Little Han, you didn't disappoint me. I'm so happy." Yi Qinghan forced a smile. "Madam, I don't have much energy. I can only attack 10 times. Moreover, I don't have extra energy to experiment. So, we have to stall for time. The longer, the better, because my energy can increase slowly." Lord Devour's eyes brightened. He smiled, his eyes squinting like two crescent moons, looking like a cunning old fox. He sighed and said, "Stall for time? It's easy. Shintu Xiong wants to play tricks with me? His cultivation is too low." Chapter 1254. Father, Doanli D requests an audience. He seems to be saying that some envoy has returned. Within the Eternal Palace, Shinta Xiong was leisurely drinking tea in the backyard when Shinta Wuya suddenly teleported in. Shinta Xiong frowned. Then his eyes lit up, and he shouted, "Let them in!" Shinta Wuya immediately transmitted the message. At the same time, he controlled the door of the Eternal Palace to open. Not long after, a warrior who looked similar to Li Tian walked in, with 3 5th-grade war gods. When he saw Shinta Xiong, he hurriedly knelt down in fear and shouted, "Greetings, Chief Pavilion Master. Why are all 3 of you back? Plow the ground, you idiot. Didn't I tell you to leave someone in the Flame Dragon Continent to keep watch?" Shinta Xiong flew into a rage and started cursing. He inadvertently released a trace of his aura, which scared the 3 5th-grade war gods half to death. They prostrated themselves on the ground, not daring to move. Li Di saw that Shinta Xiong was enraged and hurriedly said, "Chief Pavilion Master, calm your anger. Please listen to our explanation." Only then did Shinta Xiong retract his aura. However, his face was still filled with anger, and he looked like he would tear them apart if they didn't give a good explanation. A 5th-grade war god hurriedly explained, "Chief Pavilion Master, it's like this. Half a month ago, Shi Jiawu summoned the 3 of us and told us to bring back a message. She also told us to scram back, or else she would kill us. We had no choice but to come back and report." "Pass a message? What words?" Shinta Xiong said in a deep voice. Seeing Shinta Xiong's expression change, the 3 heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Shi Jiawu said that they don't have the strength to oppose you. Chief Pavilion Master, please let them live. They are willing to submit to you and offer all their treasures to you. Chief Pavilion Master, please let them live in the Fire Dragon Continent." "What? You're not lying to me, right?" Shinta Xiong was greatly surprised, and his first feeling was that these 3 people were lying to him. He had a rough understanding of Devourer Jia Wu's personality, and she definitely wouldn't say such a thing. How could he give in so easily? His burning gaze locked onto the 3 of them, and his killing intent surged out, almost solidifying. This subordinate wouldn't dare. How could we dare to deceive you for such an important matter? The 3 warriors were frightened. They hurriedly kowtowed to the ground, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The leader of the 5 grade war gods added, "Shi Jiawu also said that if the Chief Pavilion Master doesn't deal with them within 1,000,000 years, they will offer a primal chaos divine crystal, the Soul Emperor Pavilion, the Illusory Palace, the Battle Emperor's restriction techniques, and all the supreme divine artifacts." Shinta Xiong was bewildered. The primal chaos divine crystal, the Soul Emperor Pavilion, the Illusory Palace, and the Battle Emperor's restriction techniques. These 3 5th-grade war gods should have never heard of these things before. Could it be that Shi Jiawu had really given in? Primal Chaos Divine Crystal? If it was given to the Blood Knight Monarch, he would be able to create a peak 9th-grade powerhouse. There were too few 9th-grade powerhouses in the Immortal Realm. Shinta Xiong was extremely worried about the next planar war. There was no need to mention the Soul Emperor Pavilion. It was a good item. With this item, one would be able to roam the endless void. He had heard of the Illusory Palace before. This was a treasure that could mass-produce God Emperors. As for the Battle Emperor's restriction techniques, he desired it the most. The restrictions in the Nepha's abyss were ridiculously strong. If it weren't for the Battle Emperor's restrictions, the immortal realm would have fallen long ago. Even if he didn't comprehend it himself, he could let others comprehend it. If a restriction genius appeared, the immortal realm would be safe. Shintu Xiong had become the lord of the immortal realm. Moreover, he had confirmed that Yi Qinghan was dead and Lord Devour was crippled. He believed that no one could threaten his position and life. At this moment, his mentality had changed. He had already considered the immortal realm as his territory. Of course, he would think about how to protect his territory and benefits. The treasures that Lord Devour had given him greatly tempted Shintu Xiong. The Primal Chaos Divine Crystal could increase the number of experts. The Soul Emperor Pavilion could protect his life. The Illusory Palace and the restriction techniques could nurture countless experts. Originally, Shintu Xiong only wanted to kill Lord Devour, and the others to vent his anger and take revenge for his two sons. But now, Lord Devour's words made him think about the future. His desire to kill Lord Devour and the others had lessened. Most importantly, he had sent someone to tell Lord Devour that he was going to destroy the Flame Dragon Plane to trick Lord Devour. He had forcefully thrown Mo Shanghuang and the Hidden Sovereign into the Flame Dragon Plane. This was destroying the normal operation of the principle of heaven and earth. Shintu Xiong didn't know if the Divine Emperor's supremacy would find out, so he didn't dare to make up his mind. Now that Lord Devour was frightened, his determination was shaken. After all, if the Flame Dragon Plane collapsed, everything would be twisted and broken by the space. Besides venting his anger, he couldn't get anything. It was best to have a peaceful solution now. Thus, Shintu Xiong's mind became active. He started to think about how to get those treasures. As for Lord Devour and the others, he could think of a way to deal with them later, right? If Yi Qinghan was dead, who else on Lord Devour's side could threaten his rule in the immortal realm? Shintu Xiong pondered for a while. His aura roared again. He stared at the three and shouted, "Are you sure this is the original message? Don't force me to search your soul." The three were so scared that they fell to the ground. They kept saying, "Yes, yes, 1,000,000 years? Humph." Shintu Xiong paced back and forth in the hall. After a while, he suddenly shouted, "Return to the Flame Dragon Plane immediately. Pass on my words. 1,000,000 years is too long. In 10,000 years at most, you must hand over everything. Also, you must hand over the Primal Chaos Divine Crystal and the Soul Emperor Pavilion now. Otherwise, I will immediately collapse the Flame Dragon Plane. All of them must die." The three fifth-grade war gods and Li Di felt as if they had been granted amnesty. They quickly retreated and flew back to the Misty Continent. 1 month later, Li Di brought the three envoys back again. They brought back 2 books of War Emperor's restriction techniques, several supreme divine artifacts, and Lord Devour's message. First, offer these treasures to show your sincerity. In the future, you will offer 1 treasure every 10,000 years. If you don't agree, you will perish together with us. 10,000 years it is. Shintu Xiong carefully examined the War Emperor's restriction techniques. After confirming that they were original goods, he was overjoyed. With these things, he would be able to nurture a few restriction experts. If he lost the next planar war, he would be able to use them. If the other planes were to invade the divine world, with the restriction experts controlling the evil abyss's restrictions, the divine world would be saved. You three go to the Flame Dragon Plane and stay there. Remember to keep a close watch on the Flame Dragon Plane. If Devour Jiawu is up to something, send a message back immediately. Also, tell Devour Jiawu that after 10,000 years, if she doesn't offer me the treasures I want, she can wait for death." Shintu Xiong instructed and let the three leave. Then, he instructed Li Di, "Go find the Wood Spirit race. Wu Xie found them last time. Secretly arrange for them to enter the Flame Dragon Plane. Keep a close watch on everyone. Once they are found to be plotting something, send a message immediately. Also, send my war god order. Gather all the restriction geniuses in the divine world. I want to pick a few restriction geniuses to learn War Emperor's restriction techniques. Li Di immediately bowed and left. Shinta Xiong's eyes flickered as he sat on his throne. He sneered and said, "Devour Jia Wu. What tricks do you want to play? Humph! No matter how many schemes you have, they're nothing in front of absolute power. I will crush them with one strike. Wait until I get all the treasures. Then I will play with you." Chapter 1255. The Flame Dragon Continent was peaceful. Yi Qinghan's return was like a shot of adrenaline. Everybody calmed down. However, Yi Qinghan didn't stay long in the Flame Dragon Continent. When the 3 emissaries from the Divine World came, they brought Shinta Xiong's 10,000-year agreement. After Yi Qinghan and Lord Devour discussed for a while, they left with all the young disciples. Venerable Li Quan and Emperor Yu didn't leave. Instead, they often flew around the Flame Dragon Continent, using them as bait to confuse the enemies. Yi Qinghan put all the women, children, and the elites of the Flame Dragon Continent into the War Emperor Palace. Then, he quietly entered the Soul Emperor Pavilion and left. Yi Qinghan had left just in time. Half a month after he had left, dozens of wood spirits had sneaked into the Flame Dragon Continent. They had concealed themselves and started to investigate the Flame Dragon Continent. Originally, there were 10 wood spirit clan members hiding in the Flame Dragon Continent. Unfortunately, they were responsible for Shinta Wuxia. Now that Shinta Wuxia was dead, they didn't know who else to find. Moreover, Lord Devour had started to suppress the news of Yi Qinghan's return. People who knew about it were ordered not to leak it out. Shinta Xiong didn't know that Yi Qinghan had come out of the space vortex. Yi Qinghan brought a group of people to the Beast God's secret land. Leijun was about to break through to rank 9. With their talents, staying in the Flame Dragon Continent would affect their cultivation. Originally, Yi Qinghan had considered going to the Fire God's secret land since there weren't many experts there. Considering that he had an affair with Zhu Yi, the women there would be jealous. Plus, Zhu Yi was cunning, which would be troublesome. Although the situation in the Beast God's secret land was complicated, with the old Beast God there, it would be safer. The Soul Emperor Pavilion picked up Jida and Lady Windmoon, who were outside the plane. After several months of flying, they arrived outside the Beast God Mystic Realm. Then, they began to spin crazily and broke through the Beast God Mystic Realm's source energy. When they entered the Beast God Mystic Realm, the Beast God and the other 9th grade experts were shocked. The Beast God Palace shone with golden light, and a terrifying aura came from within. It was about to crash into the Soul Emperor Pavilion. Yi Mo, Yi Fan, Yi Feihu, and the others all teleported over. They condensed the power of space and were about to attack. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to let Kid teleport him out. He then shouted in the sky, "Beast God, it's me, Yi Qinghan." Swish, swish, swish. Yi Feihu, Yi Fan, and the others immediately withdrew their hands and backed away when they saw Yi Qinghan. They stared at Yi Qinghan as if he were a terrifying monster. They had been defeated by Yi Qinghan a few times, so they had a sense of fear in their hearts. "Yi Qinghan, you're back. Who is this beside you?" The Beast God's small body appeared outside the Beast God Palace, but his eyes were locked on Kid. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was being carried by Kid, so he couldn't help but be suspicious. Kid smiled faintly. He felt sincere respect for the Beast God clan's patriarch. The Beast God clan was one of the 10 ancient clans, an existence that could shake the entire Pangea. He bowed and said, "Junior Kid greets Senior Beast God." "Beast God, there is no need to be suspicious. This time, I brought my entire family to seek refuge with you. Let me show you something." Yi Qinghan saw the light in the Beast God's eyes and knew that he was suspicious of his inability to fly. With a thought, the Fire God battle armor appeared on his body. Instantly, an incomparably domineering aura enveloped the entire Beast God mystic realm. "Fire God battle armor, Yi Qinghan, you have it." The Beast God's eyes lit up. Then he saw a group of people flying out of the Soul Emperor Pavilion. There were men and women, as well as countless members of the Beast God clan. The Night Emperor and the others were also present. He finally let go of his suspicions and said with a smile, "Let's talk on Beast God Island. Feihu, go and make arrangements to welcome our guests from afar." This time, Yi Qinghan brought many people with him. Almost all the elite disciples of the reincarnation plane were here. These were all former seed members with outstanding talents. Staying in the Flame Dragon continent would affect their cultivation. That day, Beast God Island held a banquet. Yi Qinghan was very powerful. Now that he brought two autarchs, Yi Feihu and the others didn't dare to cause trouble. If they did, they would only be asking for trouble. Although Yi Qinghan looked very strange, no one dared to test him. In half a day, countless pavilions were built on Beast God Island to accommodate the 10,000 people brought by Yi Qinghan. Of course, the group of experts entered the Beast God Palace. The Beast God let Yi Feihu and the others take care of Jida, Yinran, Lei Jun, Windmoon Sovereign, and Mo Xiao Xiao. He entered the side hall with Yi Qinghan alone. "Old ancestor, I'm afraid we will have to stay here for a long time." Yi Qinghan didn't stand on ceremony and told the Beast God his purpose of coming. Lord Devourer used a scheme to delay Shintu Xiong. Yi Qinghan was waiting for the cold power to grow to a certain level. He would slowly grasp the usage of the cold power. When his strength reached a certain level, he would kill his way back to the divine world. It doesn't matter how long you stay. This is also your home. The Beast God looked at Yi Qinghan with a benevolent expression. Then his expression turned serious as he asked, "What is the specific situation? Tell me in detail." The older the ginger, the spicier it was. Yi Qinghan secretly admired the Beast God. He had a lot of trust in the Beast God. He hurriedly told him everything that had happened. Of course, he didn't tell him about the soul mutation. Other than Xiaohei, no one else knew about this. He only said that there was an accident in the space vortex, and his body had a mutation. Currently, his body couldn't store God power, but there was a strange power. The Beast God lowered his brows and pondered. After a long time, he mocked, "You were tricked by Shintu Xiong. I don't think he has the guts to destroy the material plane. Otherwise, the divine Emperor's supremacy would tear him apart. Don't worry and stay here. I will go and destroy the teleportation formation to prevent Shintu Xiong from entering the Beast God mysterious domain from the divine world." Tricked by Shintu Xiong? Yi Qinghan was stunned. Then he asked in surprise, "Destroy? Then the people of the Beast God mysterious domain can't leave the divine world? Don't we have your pagoda? Besides, the people of the Beast God mysterious domain can't leave." The Beast God smiled. Then his body flashed. With 2 teleportations, he went to the Black Warrior City in the south. Then, he used the power of space. Under the shocked gazes of the millions of martial artists in the city, he directly smashed the teleportation formation. Shintu Xiong didn't have the Soul Emperor Pavilion. The Flying Phoenix was also destroyed. The Wind Moon Sovereigns had completely submitted to Yi Qinghan. Without the teleportation formation, even if he knew the location of the Beast God mysterious domain, he wouldn't take the risk to come here from the endless void. Moreover, Shintu Xiong wasn't sure if there was a 9th grade supreme martial artist in the Beast God mysterious domain. He wouldn't take the risk. It could be said that the Beast God mysterious domain was incomparably safe. After the Beast God returned, he explained a few words to Yi Qinghan. Then, he brought him to the peak of the North Sea and let Yi Qinghan use the power of cold to attack. When Yi Qinghan's fist tore a several hundred-meter-long crack in the space of the Beast God mysterious domain, the Beast God was shocked. He looked at Yi Qinghan's fist with lingering fear. He laughed and said, "Yi Qinghan, the power of your fist has definitely reached the strength of a 9th grade supreme being. Cultivate in the Beast God mysterious domain in peace. When you have enough strength, I will accompany you out of the Beast God mysterious domain and back to the divine world." Chapter 1256. Chief Pavilion Master. The Wood Spirit Race reported that there seems to be a rumor in the Flame Dragon Plain. Yi Qinghan seems to have returned, and Yi Qinghan's wife and children are missing. In the Eternal Palace, elderly D reported anxiously. Shinta Xiong had said that Yi Qinghan had died in his hands. Saying this was like doubting Shinta Xiong's words, slapping his face. But such important news couldn't be left unreported. There is such a thing? Shinta Xiong was shocked, his killing intent soaring. But thinking of the terrifying soul attack in the spatial whirlpool, Shinta Xiong shook his head and said with certainty, impossible. Yi Qinghan couldn't have come out alive. It must be a rumor spread by Shi Jiewu to stabilize the people of the Flame Dragon continent and destroy the unity of the divine world. Yi Qinghan definitely couldn't have come back. Otherwise, with his character, he would have already reached the divine world and started assassinating. Li Di quickly cupped his hands and smiled flatteringly. Chief Pavilion Master is wise. This subordinate is slow-witted. I almost fell for Shi Jiewu's trick. Pay close attention. Let the wood spirit race continue to investigate. Shinta Xiong snorted and turned to ask, how is the progress on breaking the restrictions of the 3 secret realms? Li Di said respectfully, currently, the 10 restriction geniuses selected by the Lord have just comprehended Battle Emperor's restrictions. This needs time, Chief Pavilion Master. Shinta Xiong waved his hand and told Li Di to hurry up. He didn't know how many experts there were in the 3 secret realms, and he knew the reason why they were hiding. But Shinta Xiong was the boss of the divine world, and he had 3 illegal forces under him that weren't under his control. If he didn't understand the situation, he wouldn't be at ease. Because Shinta Xiong wanted to obtain the treasures of the Soul Emperor Pavilion, and Yi Qinghan was waiting for the increase in the power of cold, the immortal world was peaceful during this period of time. There were no wars, and there were no disputes. Everyone played with their own birds and people. Time passed quickly, and 5,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. Shinta Xiong was busy unearthing talents, cultivating restriction experts, and breaking the restrictions of the 3 mystic realms. Lord Devour was busy reading, while Gid was busy looking for beauties in the beast god's secret land. Of course, Yi Qinghan was busy experimenting with different ways to use the cold power. On a small island in the North Sea of the Beast Divine Arcane Realm, Yi Qinghan, Yin Ran, and Kid stood on the island. The wind was strong that day, and the waves crashed into the reefs on the side of the island, splashing water everywhere. Yi Qinghan stood on the cliff by the sea. He closed his eyes and held the slaughter god blade in his hand. Beside him, Jida and Yinran looked at Yi Qinghan with sparkling eyes as they waited for his performance. In the past 5,000 years, Yi Qinghan had simulated many different ways of using the power of cold, but he had never tested it. Today, the power of cold had finally grown to a radius of 1 mile. It was enough for Yi Qinghan to squander for a period of time. That was why Yi Qinghan suddenly asked Jida and Yinran to bring him here to test out the way to use the power of cold. The wind was getting stronger, and the trio's clothes were fluttering in the wind. Their black hair fluttered in the wind, and the waves below them were getting more and more turbulent. Splashes of water began to fall from the 1,000-meter-tall cliff. In the distance, white lines whizzed over like ferocious monsters, as if they wanted to swallow the entire island in one bite. Ha! There was a loud shout, and Jida and Yinran's eyes lit up. Yi Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes, and his body shot up into the sky. After that, he dived down at a rapid speed, rushing towards the towering waves in front of him. The slaughter god blade in his hand turned into a series of afterimages as it slashed down at the 1,000-meter-tall waves. Chi, a sharp green saber aura shot out from the slaughter god blade. The moment the saber aura appeared, something amazing happened. The hundreds of waves in front of them actually stopped moving. After that, with a loud boom, they started to flow in reverse. Following that, the green saber aura gently slashed down, and everywhere it passed, the space was torn apart. A huge white crack extended straight ahead. On both sides of the crack, 2 monstrous waves that were thousands of meters high surged towards both sides, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. Boom! The white crack extended for tens of thousands of meters in an instant before finally crashing into a medium-sized island. A deafening explosion rang out, and then this huge island was actually split in half from the center. A bottomless crack appeared in the middle, and the surrounding seawater frantically surged into the crack. The scene was extremely grand and magnificent. SS, Jita, and Yinran both sucked in a breath of cold air. After that, they looked at each other in dismay. Then, they looked at the roaring waves in the distance and finally at Yi Qinghan. The two of them swallowed their saliva subconsciously as their throats kept moving. One slash caused the seawater to flow in reverse, creating a 10,000-meter-long crack in the space, splitting an island with a radius of 10,000 miles in half. What kind of power was this? Jita and Yinran had never seen Yi Qinghan use it before, so they were scared out of their wits. The two of them absolutely believed that if they were under the saber just now, even if they used all their strength to protect themselves, they would definitely be hacked to death without any chance of survival. Even if they weren't split in half, they would still be shaken to death. Yinran and Jita looked at each other again, and their eyes lit up. Just based on the strength of this attack, even if it wasn't comparable to Shinta Xiong, it wasn't far off. With the Fire God battle armor, Yi Qinghan had the strength to fight Shinta Xiong head-on. Swish! Yi Qinghan's body flashed and returned to the cliff. He kept his saber and closed his eyes in deep thought. That slash just now had used up half of his body's cold power. The consumption of his cold power was too fast. He didn't dare to casually use it anymore. This attack method is still too direct. Although the speed is very fast and the power of cold is indeed stronger after being released by the Slaughter God saber, it isn't flexible enough. Yi Qinghan had been searching for 5,000 years, but he still couldn't figure out where this cold power came from. He had also discussed it with the Beast God many times and looked through all the documents in the Beast God Ancestral Shrine. However, he still couldn't figure out what elemental energy this was. All the energy in heaven and earth had elemental energy. For example, the power of space was spatial elemental energy. Power of God was transformed from heaven and earth essence energy. There were fire elemental energy, water elemental energy, light elemental energy, darkness elemental energy, etc. However, he didn't know what elemental energy this cold power was. Because the cold power didn't contain any elemental energy, it felt like the purest energy in heaven and earth. However, it was different from heaven and earth essence energy. Not only was it different, but Yi Qinghan even felt that this cold power and heaven and earth essence energy were enemies. They both wanted to destroy and assimilate the other. Once the cold power appeared in his body, it immediately started to decrease. It was obvious that the heaven and earth essence energy was too strong and was being assimilated. 5,000 years. The new soul spirit spatial zone didn't have any big changes, and this made Yi Qinghan feel more at ease. The soul spirit sea fragments and the power of origin seemed to have solidified. They had completely turned into billions of stars and stood upright in the soul spirit spatial zone. The power of darkness, light, and lightning also didn't cause any trouble and obediently stayed in the soul spirit spatial zone. What made Yi Qinghan a little suspicious was that these three types of energy seemed to be afraid of the cold power. In the territory of the cold power, the wind formed by these three types of energy would never dare to go near it. Chapter 1257. How should I use the power of cold to kill the enemy? If it's so direct, the enemy can easily dodge it. Yi Qinghan missed Godslayer's spear. It was extremely powerful and nimble. Moreover, it could be used to launch a sneak attack when it suddenly spun. However, Yi Qinghan clearly remembered that Godslayer's spear had already spun into Shinta Xiong, but it didn't kill Shinta Xiong. After chatting with the Beast God, he found out that Shinta Xiong's Primal Chaos Divine Crystal contained Primal Chaos Chi, which had a stronger defense than source power. No wonder it couldn't kill him. Since Godslayer's spear couldn't kill Shinta Xiong, and it wasn't as powerful as the power of cold, it also consumed a lot of power of cold. Yi Qinghan didn't use it anymore. Now that he realized that using the power of cold was too simple, he thought of the benefits of Godslayer's spear. That's right. I can use the power of cold to form Godslayer's spear to attack. Ha! Thinking of Godslayer's spear, Yi Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes and exclaimed. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Since Godslayer's spear could be condensed with the power of space, it could also be condensed with the power of cold. At that time, he could also use source power and control Godslayer's spear with his divine sense. That power, that's right. If I can master it, it'll definitely be shockingly powerful. Yi Qinghan laughed wildly. Godslayer's spear was powerful and could heavily injure Shinta Xiong last time. This time, he condensed the power of cold that was several times stronger than the power of space. If he stabbed Shinta Xiong, so what if he had source power and primal chaos chi to protect him? It was definitely going to be a death sentence. He turned to Jida and Yinran and said with a smile, You guys go back first. I want to enter the War Imperial Palace to cultivate the power of cold. When I come out, it'll be the day I kill my way back to the immortal realm. Little Han, work hard. Jida clenched his fist tightly and shouted. She smiled sweetly at Yi Qinghan, as if she was proud of Yi Qinghan, which made Yi Qinghan's heart itch. The two of them teleported away. Yi Qinghan's divine sense spread out again and locked onto Yao Ji, who was on the Beast God Island. He transmitted his voice to her. Yao Ji, accompany me to the War Imperial Palace to cultivate. I need you to help me cultivate. At this moment, the demonic lady was sitting in her own courtyard, quietly reading a book and comprehending the art of restriction of the Battle Emperor. Although the War Emperor's original seal had been given to Shinta Xiong, Yao Ji had made a copy of it immediately. Hearing Yi Qinghan's voice transmission, the enchantress naturally knew what he needed her help with. Yi Qingwu, who was standing next to her, had sharp eyes. She noticed Yao Ji's strange behavior and looked at her suspiciously. I'll go to the War Imperial Palace to help little Han cultivate. Yao Ji's face became even redder. She casually said something and teleported away. Yi Qinghan waited for the blushing Yao Ji to teleport over. He immediately smiled and brought her into the War Imperial Palace. At this moment, the seals of the 6 halls of the War Imperial Palace had all been opened. As for the remaining 3 halls, one was the hall where he met the Battle Emperor for the first time, the other was the hall that specialized in refining tools and researching restrictions, and the last was the luxurious palace that Yi Qinghan was currently in. Yi Qinghan looked at the bewitching Yao Ji and laughed. Beauty, are you on top? Or am I on top? Hey! The enchantress looked at the indecent Yi Qinghan, and her face was so red that water could drip out. However, she swayed her plump buttocks and walked onto the jade bed. Her bewitching eyes stared straight at Yi Qinghan. She looked as if she wanted to reject him, but at the same time, it was an enchanting sight. After a while, cold wind blew in the War Imperial Palace. With a series of pa, pa, pop sounds, Yi Qinghan entered the 5th level of soul quietness and began the cultivation journey of the power of cold. What? In the Eternal Palace, Shinta Xiong was in high spirits. He stared at elderly Di and asked uncertainly, have the restrictions of the 3 secret realms really been broken? Chief Pavilion Master, it's absolutely true. Li Di nodded his head rather proudly. This matter was done by him, and his contributions couldn't go unnoticed. He explained, Chief Pavilion Master, you don't know. Among the 10 restriction geniuses that we found previously, there's one called Lei Hua. He usually doesn't show himself and wholeheartedly studies restrictions. He has been studying for 5,000 years and has never made a move. 1 year ago, he suddenly made a move and broke the restrictions of the water god Mystic Realm's middle plane. When I first received the news, I wasn't sure. Who knew that when I went over to take a look, it was really broken? After that, I immediately arranged for him to go to the Poison Dragon Swamp and the East Sea of Stars. The restrictions of the Fire God Mystic Realm and the Beast God Mystic Realm's entrance were also easily broken by him. That's why I immediately came back to report. Good. Shinta Xiong was overjoyed. He waved his hand and said, send the message down. Immediately let that, Lei Hua, Thunder Fire, right? Set up our restrictions and control the transit plane. Similarly, immediately mobilize the army to garrison there. Li Di, come with me first. I want to investigate personally. Immediately, Shintu Xiong brought Li Di and teleported to the three mystic realms entrances personally to investigate. After confirming that all the restrictions of the middle plane had been broken, he was instantly overjoyed. Once the restrictions were broken, Lehul would set up the restrictions. If the three mystic realms wanted to leave the divine realm, it would have to depend on him. Li Di immediately arranged for a few envoys to enter the three mystic realms. At the same time, bring a few with spiritual pearls in, one in the open, one in the dark. Let's investigate the situation of the three mystic realms first. Let them carry the special grade teleportation jade talisman. If there's any news, report it immediately. Shintu Xiong returned to the Eternal Palace and immediately started to set up. Ever since the three ancient clans entered the mystic realms, he didn't see their clansmen walking openly outside. However, in the three mystic realms were the descendants of the 10 ancient clans. They were all powerful clans. At this moment, they completely disregarded him, the lord of the divine realm. Shintu Xiong had always considered himself as the boss of the god realm. So, of course, he wouldn't allow his subordinates to have three vassal lords who didn't listen to his commands and had very strong powers. Especially when the beast god's secret realm was Yi Qinghan's old home. In the end, 3 teams of envoys, 2 teams were easily teleported in. However, the beast divine mystic realm's teleportation door seemed to be broken. They actually couldn't enter. When the news reached the Eternal Palace, Shintu Xiong was bewildered. The beast divine mystic realm was Yi Qinghan's old home. Coincidentally, they couldn't enter now? Could there be other mysteries? Shintu Xiong was originally very suspicious. When he thought of the information from the Flame Dragon continent, it said that Yi Qinghan had returned before. In addition, Yi Qinghan's children and many of the young elites had disappeared. The Soul Emperor Pavilion had left the Flame Dragon continent 5,000 years ago and had never returned. Furthermore, thinking of Lord Devour's attitude, it seemed like they were also stalling for time. He became even more suspicious. Did Yi Qinghan really come out and was hiding in the Beast Divine Mystic Realm to cultivate now? He thought about how Yi Qinghan was able to heavily injure him last time. If he hid for hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, with his heaven-defying talents, how could he do that? Men, call the Ice Queen over. The more Shintu Xiong thought about it, the more shocked he got. After passing the message down, he took out the God World map and looked at it carefully. After confirming the location of the Beast Divine Mystic Realm, he paced around the main hall. 2 hours later, the Ice Queen teleported over. Shintu Xiong instructed, head into the endless void and bring 100 with spirit race people to the outside of this plane. After they enter, you can return right away. Shintu Xiong pointed at the direction of the Beast Divine Mystic Realm. Ice Queen took a look. It wasn't too far from the God World. It was a medium-sized plane, and it was easy to find. She didn't dare to object. Shintu Xiong was already unhappy with her after Shintu Wuxia's death, so she could only nod her head. It had been close to 10,000 years since the last time she headed into the endless void. The source strength of the Ice Queen slowly increased a little. Although this journey would consume a little, it wouldn't harm her foundations. She didn't ask much, placing the 100 with spirit race people that Shintu Xiong selected into her space god artifact and headed into the endless void. Shintu Xiong looked on as the Ice Queen left. After a long while, he scoffed coldly and muttered, Yi Qinghan, I hope that you don't come out. If you are really hiding in the beast god's secret realm, I don't mind leveling it to the ground. Chapter 1258. Chief Pavilion Master. There's news. A month later, Li Di once again flew into the Eternal Palace and said to Shintu Xiong with a grave expression, Yi Qinghan had entered the fire god's secret domain nearly 10,000 years ago. He killed more than 10 ninth-grade experts and also seized the fire god patriarch's heart of the fire god. Now, there are only 8 ninth-grade experts in the fire god mysterious realm, except for Queen Zhu Yi, who is at the peak of 9th grade. The other 7 are all lower 9th grade. Queen Zhu Yi was very polite to the messengers you sent and seemed to want to mend their relationship with you. I guess there will be new news soon. Shintu Xiong was shocked. by Li Di's solemn expression. After hearing it, he scolded, "That's good news. Why do you look so angry? F***CKU, I thought something happened." Chief Pavilion Master. Li Di's expression was still solemn. He said with a bitter smile, "The messengers of the water mystery realm were all killed. Even the Hidden Wood Spirit clan members were all killed. The last message came back. There seemed to be a 9th grade supreme martial artist powerhouse. Moreover, there were 5 above 9th grade and more than 30 below 9th grade." "What? The news is confirmed?" Shinta Xiong was shocked. There were so many experts in the Water God mysterious realm. Didn't the Water God clan encounter a disaster back then? Many experts had escaped long ago. "The news is confirmed, but the messengers and spies inside were all killed. We can't be sure about the situation inside. Chief Pavilion Master, what should we do now? Continue to send the Wood Spirit clan in to hide?" Li Di sighed bitterly and said with a frown. Shinta Xiong's face darkened. He frowned and paced back and forth in the main hall. After a long time, he shook his head and sighed. "Don't send any more. Since the Wood Spirit clan was completely wiped out this time, no matter how many we send, we will still die. We will also anger the experts inside. Send one person to send a letter in, say that I have no ill intentions, and only want to befriend the Water God Patriarch. Also, let Lewa set up more restrictions outside the Water God mysterious realm. If he can set up a restriction that can trap a 9th grade supreme martial artist, I will give him whatever he wants." Li Di immediately retreated, but Shinta Xiong was still pacing back and forth in the main hall. There was actually a 9th grade supreme martial artist in the Water Mystery Realm, as well as so many upper and lower 9th grades. Although he was confident that he could defeat that 9th grade supreme martial artist, the other party had 5 upper 9th grade subordinates, while he only had the Ice Queen. From the looks of it, her loyalty was pitifully low. The Water Mystery Land made Shinta Xiong feel a huge threat, but the situation in the Beast Mystery Land was still unclear, so Shinta Xiong did not dare to make a move. Let's find out more about the situation in the Beast God Arcane Land first. Since the Water God Arcane Land has been secluded from the world for so many years, killing my people at this moment will be a huge blow to the Water God Arcane Land. I won't come out immediately. I'll think of a way later. Shinta Xiong made up his mind and became even more anxious in his heart. In order to fend off external threats, he had to first stabilize the internal situation. If Yi Qinghan was still alive, he had to be eliminated immediately. Otherwise, if Yi Qinghan suddenly attacked him while he was fighting with the people from the Water God Arcane Realm, it would definitely be fatal. "All right, guards!" Shinta Xiong suddenly thought of a problem. He shouted and immediately sent a message. "Send someone to send a message to Queen Zhu Yi in the Fire God Arcane Realm. Ask her to come out and help me. If not, I will enter the Fire God Arcane Realm and wipe out the entire Fire God race." There was only 1 upper 9th grade and a few lower 9th grade in the Fire God Arcane Realm. If Shinta Xiong entered, he could easily suppress all of them. Zhu Yi would definitely not dare to resist. As expected, 3 months later, a group of special guests came to the God World. The owner of the Fire God Arcane Realm, Queen Zhu Yi, brought 7 lower 9th grade martial artists out of the Fire God Arcane Realm to express their allegiance to Shinta Xiong. Shinta Xiong was delighted. He gathered the experts and big families of the God World to welcome Zhu Yi and the others. He then gave the Misty Land to Zhu Yi, making her the new Misty Sovereign. The clansmen of the Fire God race that were left in the God World all surged towards the Misty Land. Shinta Xiong's prestige rose once again. Outside the endless void, Ice Queen finally arrived outside the Beast God Arcane Realm after a year of flying. Ice Queen didn't understand this medium-sized realm at all and didn't want to understand it. She only followed Shinta Xiong's orders to find a weak spot in the space. She threw 100 members of the Wood Spirit race into the Beast God Arcane Realm and then returned to the God World. The Wood Spirit race was a really weird race. They didn't have any god power. If they went into stealth, they wouldn't have any signs of life at all. When they floated down from the sky, they felt like leaves floating down. Because there was no god power fluctuation, the space wouldn't ripple. Of course, experts wouldn't sense them. These wood spirit race members were light and had a special ability to control the direction of their flying body. The moment they entered the beast god arcane realm, they floated towards the mountain range. They actually didn't attract the attention of a ninth-grade expert. The moment they landed on the ground, the wood spirit race spread out and burrowed into the ground. They disappeared into the vast forest and surged towards the various cities. The news of Yi Qinghan returning to the beast god arcane realm wasn't hidden. The beast god arcane realm had spread out long ago, especially when Yi Qinghan's wives were all beautiful. Yi Qinghan's talents were amazing, and he had become the new idol of the beast god race. There were many discussions among the people. The wood spirit race only spent a few days to find out everything about Yi Qinghan. Pungs! Countless martial artists on the Supreme Island heard a loud noise coming from the Eternal Palace. Furthermore, the Eternal Palace actually shook a little. Their faces changed drastically as they looked at the Eternal Palace in the sky, not knowing what was going on. Yi Qinghan, devouring butterfly dance, kill, kill, kill. A roar rang out above Supreme Island. The voice was filled with rage and killing intent. When the tens of millions of martial artists heard that it was Chief Pavilion Head Shinta Xiong's voice, they all knelt down in fear. Their eyes lit up. Shinta Xiong was so furious and even shouted Yi Qinghan and devouring butterfly dance's names. Could it be that Yi Qinghan didn't die? Did Shinta Xiong get played by Yi Qinghan and devouring butterfly dance again? However, there was no sound from within the Eternal Hall and no orders were given. This news quickly spread throughout the God world. The hearts of the God world were shaken, and they didn't know what was going on. Everyone was discussing and guessing the truth. A year later, when the Ice Queen returned from the endless void, the truth was finally revealed. Shinta Xiong's furious order spread out from within the Eternal Hall. He gathered all the Grade 9 experts on Supreme Island. Before the Ice Queen even returned to Ice and Snow Island, she was summoned over. Zhu Yi was also summoned and brought a bunch of people to the Eternal Hall. All of you, follow me to the Beast God's secret technique. I want to rip apart Yi Qinghan and wipe out the entire Beast God's secret realm. Shinta Xiong waved his hands and led everyone towards the endless void. There were only 2 upper Grade 9 experts in the Beast God's secret realm. Along with Yi Qinghan, there were only 3. Shinta Xiong was confident that he could kill one of them if he was careful. With Yi Qinghan's personality, why would he run away alone with so many experts and billions of Beast God race members? Yi Qinghan, I will definitely kill you this time. Shinta Xiong and the others had already disappeared into the sky. However, his vicious and venomous voice still rang out in the God world for a long time. Chapter 1259. Shinta Xiong took Zhu Yi, the Ice Queen, and more than 10 level 9 warriors out of the God world to the endless void. Shinta Xiong had planted spies everywhere, and Lord Devour had operated in the God world for a long time. How could he not have spies? Almost half of the divine world had heard Shinta Xiong's furious roar. Moreover, he had led his people to attack the divine world. How could Lord Devour's spies not detect them? Zhu Yi had just been bestowed the ethereal sovereign, and all the level 9 warriors had left. Immediately, Lord Devour's spies had taken the risk to bribe the leader of the teleportation formation in the ethereal continent to send the news to Lord Devour. Venerable Li Quan screamed, "Lord, what should we do? Shinta Xiong must have gone to the Beast God's secret land. With so many experts there, they're in danger. How about we go to the Beast God continent and ask Little Han to move? The Flame Dragon continent is closer to the Beast God's secret land. It'll be faster than Shinta Xiong." Emperor Yu was anxious, shouting. Lord Zhou's jade-like hands clutched her clothes, looking at Lord Devour, not daring to say a word. "It's no use." Lord Devour shook his head helplessly. Shinta Xiong has calculated Yi Qinghan's character. If Little Han dares to run away from the Beast God's secret land, he'll slaughter everyone in the Beast God's secret land. Do you think Little Han will abandon billions of people in the Beast God's secret land? Moreover, even if he runs away, Shinta Xiong has the map of the God world. Where can we run to? Everyone panicked. Even the incomparably steady, venerable Li Quan panicked. Madame Zhou's pretty face turned incomparably pale as she cried out in alarm. Then, "Madam, what should we do?" "Fight to the death." Lord Devour stood up, his face resolute. Looking at the void, he said arrogantly, "It's time to settle the score with Shintashion. Everybody's life and death, the grudges of so many years, will depend on this battle." Lord Zhou screamed again. "Ah, fight to the death. Can we win?" "Right. Fight to the death." Venerable Li Quan and Emperor Yu exchanged looks as they could guess Lord Devour's thoughts. Their faces became resolute. Once they had made up their minds, the two of them calmed down instead, their eyes filled with fighting spirit. "Go to the beast god, arcane realm." Lord Shu's knife-like eyes raked through the three of them, taking them into his spatial divine tool. After that, he sent a message to Yi Tianlong, then flew up into the sky. After a while, Xiao Chun entered the boundless void. Origin energy revolved around him as he turned into a meteor and flew toward the beast god realm. Lord Devour's sudden departure baffled Yi Tianlong and the others. Lord Devour's clone was dead, and his power was damaged badly. At this moment, she only had the strength of lower level 9. What was she going out for? Most importantly, she actually took Emperor Yu and Supremacy Li Quan with her. "We're going out for a trip, and we might come back in a year or two. If we don't come back, we won't come back again. Don't worry, I'll make arrangements for the Flame Dragon Continent." Lord Devour's message didn't make sense, but Yi Tianlong and the others had a bad premonition. In other words, they had a feeling that something big was about to happen, and it was something earth-shaking. The atmosphere in the Beast God realm seemed a little strange recently. The Beast God sat in the Beast God Palace every day, but he felt his eyelids twitching. He didn't understand why this was happening. However, it was better to be careful. He ordered all the Beast God clansmen to be vigilant. If there was a spy, they were to be killed immediately. The Beast God's order was somewhat baffling, but it scared the martial artists below. Spy? Could there be a spy in the Beast God realm? At that moment, countless experts were searching everywhere, causing chaos in the Beast God realm, and the atmosphere became strange. Beast God Island. The beast deity had specially allocated an area for the people that Yi Qinghan had brought to stay. Because of Yi Qinghan's prestige, no one dared to cause trouble here. The people inside did not go out often. Occasionally, some juniors would go out to travel. However, with Yi Qinghan's token, no one dared to cause trouble. Of course, except for one person, Jida. Jida loved fresh and beautiful girls. Every once in a while, he would go out to travel, pretend to be a rich man, and win the hearts of young girls. Although Yi Fan, Night Demon, and the others were a little dissatisfied with Jida's method of stealing meat from their own bowls, Jida was good at picking up girls. Both parties were willing, and it was not forced. They could only swallow their anger. However, recently, because of a woman, things had gotten a little out of hand. Jida had picked up a younger sister, who turned out to be Night Demon's future granddaughter-in-law. Jida had a refined temperament, and he had the appearance of a playboy. In addition, he was powerful and knowledgeable. He met a beautiful woman in the suburbs, and with a few words he got her. In the end, he pulled her onto the bed. Just after he finished, Night Demon's grandson heard the news and came looking for him. Jida saw that it was a hedonistic son of a rich family. His strength was not high, and he only had the strength of a 5th-grade war god. He was accompanied by a venerable, so he did not care. He sent him flying, and then brought the woman back to Beast God Island. In the end, he poked a hornet's nest. Night Demon brought his grandson to find him, and they wanted to fight with Jida. Jida was Yi Qinghan's sworn brother, and Yi Qinghan's people would naturally side with him. Hence, Night Demon began to mobilize people. Beast God Island became extremely lively, and a war was about to break out. The Beast God had no choice but to step in. However, he did not know how to deal with this muddled matter. Jida was in the wrong, but he was Yi Qinghan's man. Yi Qinghan was in seclusion at the moment. If he were to call Yi Qinghan out because of such a small matter, it it would affect his cultivation, and that would not be good. Swish! However, Night Demon seemed to be on drugs, and he was determined not to give up until he gave an explanation. Just as the beast god was about to ask Yi Qinghan to come out helplessly, there was a sudden fluctuation in the sky. A red-clothed woman floated down with two fake ninth-grade war gods. Lord Devour? Seeing that it was Lord Devour, Jida was delighted at first. His helper was here, but then he scratched his head in embarrassment. If Lord Devour knew about this, he would definitely scold him in front of everybody. How could he show his face? Yu Qingsheng, Yin Ran, Fireworks, and the others were delighted at first, but then they all frowned and became worried. Lord Devour came with Venerable Li Quan and Emperor Yu. Did something big happen? Where's Little Han? Ask him to come out and see me. Shintu Xiong is coming with more than 10 level 9 experts. Lord Devour's indifferent words were like a thunderbolt that exploded above the Beast God Island. Countless warriors who were ready to fight no longer cared about the internal conflict. All of them looked at the red-clothed woman in the sky in fright. The beast god hurried to disperse the low-level warriors who were causing trouble. Then, he looked at Lord Devour seriously, waiting for her explanation. However, Lord Devour nodded at him without saying anything. Instead, he looked at Yu Qingsheng and the others. Lord, I'm going to send a message to Qinghan. Yu Qingsheng was the calmest. She immediately took out the jade talisman that Yi Qinghan had prepared for her and crushed it. Not long after that, Yi Qinghan teleported under the enchantress's lead. He looked at Yu Qingsheng suspiciously. However, when he saw Lord Devour's group in the crowd, his face became solemn. Lord Devour's group suddenly came. Did something happen in the Fire Dragon continent? After the Beast God had invited Lord Devour and all the level 9 experts to the Beast God Palace and told them everything, Yi Qinghan felt relaxed. Pondering for a while, he stood up and looked at the void with his bright eyes. You dare to come to the Beast God's secret land with the Ice Queen and Zhu Yi? Since you're here, let's fight to the death. All the grudges will be settled in this battle. Chapter 1260. Zhu Yi, Ice Queen. Once we enter the Beast God realm, help me drag down the Beast God and the other grade 9 expert. The rest will fight on their own. Shui Yi, you will control Yi Qinghan's women and children. I will deal with Yi Qinghan alone. We have to win this battle. Whoever dares to cause trouble and not listen to orders, I will wipe out their entire family. Within the endless space, Shintu Xiong's face was dark and vicious. He stared viciously at the people beside him and instructed. He was clear that Ice Queen's loyalty wasn't high. Zhu Yi had just come over and wasn't sure of her loyalty. But Shintu Xiong thought about how the two of them had huge race members, using their race to threaten them. He wasn't afraid that they wouldn't listen, even if the two of them didn't go all out. As long as they dragged out the two grade 9 experts and waited for him to kill Yi Qinghan, the outcome would be decided. Yes, sir. Everyone replied in unison. Zhu Yi and Ice Queen subconsciously exchanged glances with one another. A complicated glow appeared in their eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. They had already flown for half a year in the endless space and were less than a month away from the Beast God's secret realm. Shintu Xiong had the God World map, so it was easy for him to fly. He wasn't afraid of getting lost and was able to find the closest path. Seeing that no one had any fighting spirit or killing intent, Shintu Xiong took in a deep breath and said, Yi Qinghan has a Chaos God crystal. I have one too. He has numerous treasures on him. Zhu Yi should know that he had at least 2 Paragon spiritual treasures on him. Whoever puts in the most effort this time, I will reward them according to their contributions. The moment Shintu Xiong said this, it was like a bunch of grade 9 martial artists were injected with stimulants. Killing intent rose from their bodies, and their eyes shone brightly. Only Zhu Yi and Ice Queen's expressions became more complicated. Mo Shanghuang and the hidden ruler's lips revealed a mocking smile. When Shintu Xiong saw that his empty promise was effective, he couldn't help but become high-spirited and hatefully roared. Yi Qinghan killed my 2 sons and killed Qingshan. This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. In the past, I have killed countless people in the immortal world, and my crimes are monstrous. If I can't kill him this time, I, Shinta will write my name backwards." The enraged voice reverberated in the endless void. The atmosphere in the originally desolate, endless void was extremely strange at this moment. Right backwards? Wouldn't that make him Xiong Tu Shin? That's a good name. Before the echo had completely faded away, a cold voice suddenly rang out. Everyone's expression changed drastically. They immediately circulated their space force and cast their divine senses towards the source of the voice. "Ah, Shin old dog, we meet again." A burst of laughter could be heard coming from the other end of the rift. Following this, two figures walked out from the rift and stood proudly 1,000 li away from the crowd. At the very front was Yi Qinghan, clad in fiery red armor. Who else could it be but the skinny beast god beside him? Yi Qinghan! In an instant, countless eyes lit up, all locked onto the fiery red figure, and countless people exclaimed. Everyone's expression tightened. They were going to kill Yi Qinghan, but they didn't expect Yi Qinghan to deliver himself to their doorstep halfway. The two of them wanted to fight with so many people. Was Yi Qinghan crazy? Shinta Xiong immediately spread his divine senses around, wanting to see what Yi Qinghan had up his sleeves. Everyone also felt strange, and hurriedly spread their divine senses in all directions. Sure enough, not far away from the crowd, a quaint palace was flying rapidly around the crowd, and on the other side, a golden 9-story pagoda was faintly discernible. Unseen danger would make everyone suspicious, but once they knew Yi Qinghan's arrangement, Shinta Xiong was extremely relieved. What kind of experts could Yi Qinghan have on his side? Even if there were a few lower 9th-class experts lying in ambush, what could they do? Haha, Yi Qinghan, there was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it, and you barged into hell. Even the space vortex didn't trap you to death? This time, I want to see if you can still fly. Shinta Xiong's body shone with golden light, his golden hair fluttering in the air, a golden great sword above his head, releasing a terrifying aura, as if a demon had descended. He pointed at Yi Qinghan with one hand and shouted coldly, "Of course, if you dare to escape this time, I will make everyone in the Fire Dragon Continent and the Beast Arcane Realm die with you. Obediently accept your death. I am in a good mood, and maybe I will let those mortal trash live. Otherwise, not a single person related to you will be spared and die without a complete corpse." After saying that, without waiting for Yi Qinghan to reply, he sneered at the Beast God. "You're the Beast God clan leader, right? Although Yi Qinghan belongs to the bloodline of the Beast deity, as long as you return from your lost path and assist me in killing Yi Qinghan, I will forgive you. Otherwise, I will make sure the Beast deity's secret territory will be barren, and not even the chickens and dogs will be spared." Bulsh *T. Before Yi Qinghan said anything, the skinny old man, Beast God, scolded. "When our Beast God race shocked the entire world, you weren't even born. You relied on killing Master and refining his chaotic God crystal to gain some strength. And you want to wipe out the Beast God race? Even the God Emperor and Supreme Being couldn't do it. Do you think a piece of trash like you can do it? Bring it on. Let me see what skills you juniors have learned to dare to be so arrogant. You really don't know your place." After saying that, a 1,000-meter-tall beast formed behind him. This beast was covered in black fur and had sharp claws. Its eyes gave off a shocking glow, like it was about to choose someone to kill. Its aura was monstrous. Just looking at its appearance, it was much scarier than Ice Queen and Zhui's space power. Yi Qinghan didn't interrupt. He exchanged glances with Ice Queen Zhui and laughed coldly. He didn't look at Shinta Xiong. He turned his head and smiled at Beast God. "Old ancestor, don't be angry. Why are you wasting your breath on a fatherless, motherless, teacherless bastard? Go play with those juniors. Shinta Xiong is mine." After saying that, he flew into the sky and shouted at Shinta Xiong, "Shinta old dog, if you want to take my life, then follow me. I will play with you." "Huh? Just you two pieces of trash? Next year today will be your death anniversary." Shinta Xiong was so angry that he laughed. The killing intent on his body enveloped the surrounding space. His body turned into a bolt of lightning, chasing after Yi Qinghan. His body was in midair when he suddenly turned his head towards the crowd and shouted, "Ice Queen, Queen Zhu, kill this old dog. The rest of you, go and take down the palace and Seoul Emperor Pavilion. Yi Qinghan, piece of trash, prepare to die." When the lower ninth grade martial artists heard Shintu Xiong's orders, they were all delighted. They didn't need to face the mysterious Yi Qinghan. They just had to chase after the two flying treasures. This mission was much easier. Zhu Yi and Ice Queen exchanged glances with one another. The two of them hollered and charged towards the beast god. Zhu Yi used the power of space to form a 1,000-layer wave and smash towards the beast god's 1,000-meter-tall beast. Ice Queen's snow-white hand waved lightly. Snow and ice actually fell from the sky. These snow and ice quickly condensed into numerous icicles, attacking Beast God. Let me play with you two girls. Little Han, it's up to you." Beast God didn't even look at the lower ninth grade martial artists who chased after Beast God Hall and Seoul Emperor Pavilion. Instead, he looked at Yi Qinghan. The withered and small body of the beast suddenly had an imposing aura. He laughed loudly and punched forward with both hands. The huge beast behind him instantly stepped into the sky, waving its huge claws and roaring towards the sky. With a destructive aura, it clawed towards Zhu and Ice Queen's attack. Chapter 1261. Hong. The deep blue, 1,000-layer wave swept across the sky like it was going to break through the sky. It heavily smashed into the left claw of the gorilla-like beast formed by the beast god. On the other side, the Ice Queen formed 8 ice spikes that could freeze the sky and earth. They also smashed into the other giant claw. The 1,000-layer wave was stronger with each layer. Wherever it passed, ripples would appear in the space, giving out pa-pa-pa sounds. It was as if there were really waves crashing by. It fiercely smashed into the giant claw that was 100 meters thick. Based on Zhu Yi's usual attack strength, the giant claw would be smashed into pieces after a few dozen layers of waves. But today, it seemed like there was a problem with Zhu Yi's strength. Although her aura was shocking, after creating hundreds of layers of waves, not a single beast claw was smashed into pieces. On the other side, the Ice Queen's attack was also weak. The 8 ice spikes were like toys, playing a game of hide and seek with the giant claw. Looking at the situation, it seemed like the two absolute beauties were on their period today, and they were powerless to do anything. Looking at the beast god, it seemed like his dementia was acting up today. A beast that could scare a normal heavenly god martial artist to death had very weak attack strength and speed. The three of them looked fierce as they fought, and their auras were extraordinary. But after fighting for so long, they had only used up a small portion of the spatial power they gathered. The lower grade 9 martial artists had split into 2 groups. Zhu Yi's subordinates went to chase Beast God Hall, while Blood Knight and Mo Shanghuang, the hidden sovereign, and the 3 white-haired elders from the small mystic realm went to chase Seoul Emperor Pavilion. Mo Shanghuang and the hidden sovereign had been paying attention to the battle between the beast god and Zhu Yi. They wanted to pay attention to the battle between Yi Qinghan and Shintu Xiong, but the two of them were extremely fast. They flew up into the sky and were too far away. At this moment, they could only vaguely sense a trace of it. At this moment, the two of them felt that something was wrong. Why did it feel like the beast god and Ice Queen Zhu Yi were in cahoots? Were they playing house? Turning their heads, they realized that the Blood Knight monarch and the 3 white-haired elders were also looking back at the battle between the 3 of them with confused expressions. Mo Shanghuang and the hidden sovereign exchanged glances. Both of them looked at Zhu Yi and Qiming's subordinates who were chasing Beast God Hall. They wanted to confirm their suspicions. As expected, when they saw Zhu Yi's subordinates bellowing out furiously and condensing various types of spatial force, they were furious and baleful. They seemed like they would not give up until they destroyed the Beast God Hall. However, their speed had quietly decreased by 30%. How could the two of them not understand? Ice Queen and Zhu Yi were delaying, or rather, they had reached some sort of agreement with Yi Qinghan. The contents of the agreement were not hard to guess. They would first drag it out and not officially start the battle. Everything would wait until the victor between Yi Qinghan and Shen Tuxiong was decided. If Yi Qinghan won, needless to say, they would all side with him. If he lost, the two of them would have to fight the beast deity with all their might. But what Mo Shanghuang and Mo Shanghuang didn't understand was, why was Yi Qinghan so confident? He would definitely defeat Shen Tuxiong? That was a 9th grade supreme martial artist. What's more, it was at the peak level. This was the limit of a martial artist's cultivation realm. How many years had Yi Qinghan been cultivating? Was that even possible? Was it impossible? However, no matter what, Mo Shanghuang and the hidden ruler had already made their decision. Their speed started to slow down. At the same time, Mo Shanghuang's spatial force condensed into a flood dragon. His aura surged, and he shouted angrily, "People of Seoul Emperor Pavilion, listen up. You have been surrounded. Please surrender immediately. Please surrender immediately. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences." The Hermit Sovereign was very quick-witted. He immediately followed suit and became incomparably enraged. He used his god power amplifier and shouted, "Yes, yes. You have been surrounded. Please surrender immediately. Otherwise, we won't be polite." Surrounded? Please surrender immediately? Blood Knight Monarch and the 3 monarchs were confused. The Seoul Emperor Pavilion was still far away, so how did they surround them? Moreover, why did they use the word please to ask them to surrender? Why be so polite? But during these 2 sentences, the 4 of them realized that the hidden ruler and Mo Shanghuang were thousands of meters away from them. Only then did they realize that Mo Shanghuang and the hidden ruler had slowed down. Damn. These 2 fence-sitters. Blood Knight Monarch cursed under his breath. He looked up and vaguely sensed that Shen Tuxiong and Yi Qinghan were already fighting. He recalled the last time in Divine Grace City, when Yi Qinghan attacked Shen Wuxia brutally. He could not help but feel a chill down his spine and subconsciously slowed down. The 3 lower-rank, 9 monarchs from the small mystic realm were not idiots. Since all of them were faking it, it would not be good for the 3 of them to be too independent, right? As a result, a very strange scene appeared on the scene. Everyone looked incomparably fierce and aggressive. They were all shouting and cursing, and their attacks were extremely frightening. In a short period of time, they had released countless attacks, but no one was injured at all. It was as if they were in cahoots to film a movie. Moreover, everyone seemed to have a mind of their own. As they fought and chased, they approached Yi Qinghan and Shen Tuxiong's battlefield. Their divine senses were all locked onto the 2, waiting for the final outcome. In the void millions of miles above everyone, Yi Qinghan stood upright and stopped running. He was wearing a fiery red battle armor, surrounded by red light, and carried a long supreme god-slaughtering saber on his back. His handsome face looked even more majestic and extraordinary at this moment. The current terrain was a little strange. There was a material plane not far to the left, and there was another material plane millions of miles to the right. Above them, there was a space vortex. No one knew if Yi Qinghan had deliberately chosen this place as the battlefield or if it was a coincidence. Yi Qinghan died. Shen Tuxiong shot up like a cannonball. Before he arrived, his voice was already heard. Moreover, a giant sword shining with golden light had already cut through the void, turning into a series of afterimages, slashing down on Yi Qinghan. This was truly tearing through the void. Wherever the giant sword passed, tiny cracks would appear in the space, looking as sinister and terrifying as scars. It must be known that this was the endless void, a place where space was the most stable. Shen Tuxiong's attack power could be clearly seen. "Ha! Shen Tuxiong, aren't you afraid that I have an ambush?" Yi Qinghan raised his head and laughed. His eyes flickered as he activated the Soul Exterminator. His laughter was mixed with a demonic voice. His hands gently caressed, and the billions of soul jade knives turned into stars and shot down. At the same time, the fire god's heart on his head lit up, and his body quietly disappeared. Previously, Shen Tuxiong was ambushed by Yi Qinghan's soul skill. How could he not be prepared this time? The chaotic aura had long protected his soul sea. Of course, Yi Qinghan did not intend to rely on soul skills to make Shinta Xiong suffer. It was just that soul skills could be used casually, and it was always good to be able to harass Shinta Xiong. The golden sword slashed down heavily, turning into a ray of light that shot downwards. Obviously it missed. Where the golden sword slashed down, a long and narrow crack appeared in the space. It was like a piece of black cloth that was cut by a sharp knife. Shinta Xiong immediately controlled the golden sword to fly back, and the crack in space slowly closed. Although he knew that it was impossible for Yi Qinghan to ambush him, he still looked around nervously. However, he was shocked by what he saw. Yi Qinghan teleported hundreds of thousands of miles to the left. At this moment, his body suddenly split into two, then two into four into 8. In the end, the sky was filled with Yi Qinghan's clones, and there were hundreds of them. Most importantly, every clone looked exactly the same. It was impossible to distinguish them with the naked eye or divine sense. Even the power of space was exactly the same. Shinta Xiong's golden sword trembled and started revolving around him. With the fastest speed, he slashed towards Yi Qinghan's billions of clones. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood and once again condensed a golden sword, which revolved around his body and protected him. However, his eyes were burning with anger, and he was about to melt the void. He shouted with incomparable resentment, "Battle Emperor, you old dog. I served you for hundreds of thousands of years, and you didn't teach me this ultimate skill of creating millions of clones. Now you passed it to this little bastard. You old dog, I didn't kill you wrongly back then. I didn't kill you wrongly." Chapter 1262. 1,000 Clones. This was the strongest technique of the Battle Emperor. When cultivated to the extreme, he could create thousands of clones. Every clone had the same aura as the main body. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't detect them. However, with so many clones, only the main body had real attacking power. The rest could only be used to confuse the enemy. When this technique was cultivated to the extreme, it could create 108 clones. Yi Qinghan had only created a few hundred clones. It was obvious that he hadn't cultivated it to the extreme yet. The remnant soul of the Battle Emperor was exhausted in the dusky space and disappeared from the world. Before he disappeared, the Battle Emperor removed the seal on the black stone and the seal on the Battle Emperor Hall. The seals on the other two secret manuals in the small pavilion that stored the secret manuals had also been removed. Yi Qinghan naturally wouldn't let it go. He had taken some time to investigate in these 5,000 years. When he found this secret manual, he immediately started cultivating it. 1,000 clones was not only a good technique for escaping, it was also a heaven-defying attack technique. It was the strongest technique of the Battle Emperor. However, there wasn't much time. Yi Qinghan had spent most of his time cultivating the power of cold, so he could only create a few hundred clones. However, a few hundred clones were enough. Seeing Shinta Xiong's furious expression, Yi Qinghan's confidence soared. It was obvious Shinta Xiong couldn't detect his real body. Then, he controlled the clones with his divine sense and surrounded Shinta Xiong from all directions. Then, 10 God Slayer's spears suddenly appeared from the void. The moment the God Slayer's spears appeared, a fierce and domineering aura enveloped the entire space. Just as they appeared, the space beside the God Slayer's spears actually started to crack. It was as terrifying as the golden sword that Shinta Xiong had slashed down. The God Slayer's spears hadn't attacked yet. They had just been formed. Its power was comparable to Shinta Xiong's full-strength attack. At least on the surface, it seemed to have reached this level of power. The strangest thing was that the 10 God Slayer's spears appeared beside Yi Qinghan's hundreds of clones. Their auras looked exactly the same. In an instant, Shinta Xiong felt as if his surroundings were filled with an aura that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. A piercingly cold, killing intent locked onto him, leaving him with nowhere to escape. Along with the appearance of the God Slayer's spear, scar-like cracks appeared in the surrounding space, as if the void was about to collapse. Impossible! Impossible! How could his attack be so powerful? This was absolutely impossible. It must be an illusion. An illusion. Shintu Xiong's eyes were opened wider than a cow's. Hundreds of doppelgangers all had this kind of aura. Shintu Xiong was not surprised. This was the essence of the Battle Emperor's myriad clones. He also knew that apart from the true body, the rest of the clones' auras were all simulated and had no offensive power at all. What he couldn't believe was, how could Yi Qinghan's attack possess such terrifying power? Just by looking at the condensed appearance and aura, it was actually stronger than a full-strength strike from him. This was simply impossible. His strength had reached the peak of a martial artist cultivation, the peak of 9th grade supreme martial artist. If Yi Qinghan's attack power was stronger than his, could it be that he had become a divine emperor supreme martial artist? The martial artists below were even more frightened by the terrifying aura in the sky, all forgetting that they were fighting. They stared blankly at the sky, even quietly standing together, as if they had become comrades. They ignored everything else and locked onto Yi Qinghan. When they saw the hundreds of Yi Qinghan, each with 10 God Slayer spears that carried an aura that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth, everyone's souls trembled. Was he still human? Wrong. He had become a god long ago and was no longer immortal. But was he still a god-rank martial artist? Could a martial artist cultivate to such a level? Could his attack power be so great? The beast god was also frightened, and the beast god palace in the distance stopped flying. The Soul Emperor Pavilion also stopped chasing the crowd, standing in the void, waiting for this earth-shattering battle. The seventh brother of the Yi family, the trash of the Yi family, has grown to such an extent. The outcome of this battle has been decided. Soul Emperor, you can finally rest in peace. Xiaohei can finally be saved. Inside the Soul Emperor Pavilion, many people were standing, watching the earth-shattering scene outside. They didn't even dare to blink. They all calmed their minds, not daring to breathe loudly. Their hearts were in their throats. Lord Devour mumbled, 2 drops of tears rolling down from the corners of his eyes. Illusion. It must be an illusion. Die. Die for me. Yi Qinghan, take my strongest attack. Sovereign descends the world. Shintu Xiong lifted his head and roared. The golden sword in front of him suddenly exploded, turning into billions of small golden swords. However, its aura didn't seem to weaken. It turned into billions of light beams, shooting everywhere. Shintu Xiong's face paled. It was obvious that this move had consumed a lot of his origin. Billions of small golden swords shot out, and the void around him cracked like a spider web. It felt like a piece of plexiglass had been smashed, and the sky seemed like it would collapse in the next second. F***CK. Yi Qinghan could feel that this was Shintu Xiong's ultimate killing move. The power contained in the small golden swords made his soul shiver. However, he couldn't retreat at this moment. Otherwise, the situation he had painstakingly created would be broken. His cold power couldn't withstand such consumption. His face sank, and he gritted his teeth, preparing to fight to the death. God Slayer's spear, destroy. Previously, outside the reincarnation plane, Yi Qinghan had relied on the fire god's battle armor to withstand Shintu Xiong's sword. Apart from having all the bones in his body shattered, Yi Qinghan didn't suffer any fatal danger. At this moment, he was prepared to resist and use the God Slayer spear to injure Shintu Xiong. This God Slayer spear was condensed by Yi Qinghan with the cold power. The cold power was originally an incomparably overbearing and valiant power, and it was above all other elemental powers. Now that he used it to condense the God Slayer spear, its might was even greater. When Yi Qinghan created the God Slayer spear, he was extremely familiar with the various steps and difficulties. After 5,000 years of cultivation simulation, he could easily condense the God Slayer spear with the cold power. Swish! Yi Qinghan roared. Hundreds of doppelgangers and thousands of God Slayer spears attacked at the same time. There was only one target, Shintu Xiong, who was surrounded in the center. Once the God Slayer spear appeared, tiny cracks appeared in the space. At this moment, he attacked with all his strength, and the space was directly torn apart. The void was torn apart as the god Slayer's spear soared. At this moment, the surrounding space was filled with thousands of holes. It was extremely ugly, and the destructive aura caused the surrounding ninth-grade martial artists to have a change in expression as they quickly retreated. Everyone forgot about the battle, forgot about the enemy, and focused on the thousands of God Slayer's spears. They widened their eyes and mouths in disbelief. There was only one thought in their minds. Was this still an attack that a martial artist could release? Boom! 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 A deafening explosion resounded. The God Slayer spear and Shinta Xiong's small golden swords collided. At the point of collision, the space was once again torn apart, forming a crack that was thousands of meters long. But at this moment, Shinta Xiong's eyes lit up. This is the real body, Yi Qinghan. Die! The billions of small golden swords encountered many God Slayer spears. But other than the 10 God Slayer spears on the left, the rest directly penetrated through. Obviously, the rest were all illusions condensed by the doppelgangers. Only the real body had real attack power. After Shinta Xiong discovered this, he immediately controlled all the huge golden swords. These small golden swords actually started spinning, turning into billions of spiral drills, and shot towards Yi Qinghan's real body. Chapter 1263. Haha, Shinta Xiong, you fell for it. Didn't the Battle Emperor tell you that the original body can be switched among these 10,000 doppelgangers? Die! Yi Qinghan laughed out loud, and the hundreds of clones followed suit. Suddenly, the surrounding void was filled with the sound of laughter. Under the influence of the demonic voice, Shinta Xiong was once again bewildered for a moment, and the speed of the billions of small golden swords slowed down. His divine sense subconsciously swept towards the god-slaying spear that was getting closer and closer. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up. The real God-Slayer spear transformed into 10 flood dragons, twisting in the air, piercing through the millions of revolving golden swords, piercing towards Shinta Xiong. The rest of the God-Slayer's spears were extremely strange, twisting and turning. It was as if there were thousands of flood dragons swimming in the void, roaring soundlessly towards Shinta Xiong. Die! Die! Let's see if your fire god's battle armor or my primal chaos chi is stronger. Let's go all out. Shinta Xiong immediately woke up after a moment, but those 10 God Slayer spears had already rushed over. Only 3 of them collided with the small golden sword and finally shattered. The God Slayer spear was condensed from the power of cold, and its speed was originally faster than Shinta Xiong's attack. Shinta Xiong's attack was the first to be launched, but now he would be able to hit his opponent at the same time. Shinta Xiong didn't care anymore. He could only fight with his life on the line. The origin energy of chaotic force protected his body, and he used all his strength to control the billions of tiny golden swords, slashing towards Yi Qinghan madly. Boom! Boom! Both parties' attacks arrived at almost the same time. Yi Qinghan's God-Slayer's spear suddenly spun, fiercely stabbing into Shinta Xiong's body and brain. Shinta Xiong's billions of small golden swords also started to spin, and like meteors, they continuously shot towards Yi Qinghan's body. In an instant, the two of them spat out mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying backwards. With such a terrifying momentum, in just the blink of an eye, the two of them were sent flying millions of miles away, disappearing from the line of sight of the martial artists below. Ha ha! I have primal chaos chi. You can't kill me. You can't kill me. Shinta Xiong's body was riddled with countless spear holes, but because of the primal chaos energy's protection, his divine crystal and brain were completely unharmed. Although his body was in a terrible state from the explosion of the power of frost, his life was not in danger. Oh, really? Let's see how much primordial chaos energy you have. Shinta Xiong, you will definitely die today. But before he could laugh out loud, a cold voice rang out. Although Yi Qinghan had been smashed several million miles away, and his life and death were unknown, he teleported in the next second and stood in front of Shinta Xiong. The Vulcan's battle armor was still glowing red, and there was no trace of paleness on his face. It seemed that Yi Qinghan had not suffered any damage from such a fierce attack, just now. How is this possible? How is this possible? How could you be completely fine? Impossible. Shintu Xiong was frightened. Although his primal crystal's healing speed was fast, it still required time. If Yi Qinghan were to attack continuously, he would definitely be the one to die after a few rounds. The defense of the Fire God battle armor, a supreme spiritual treasure, was actually so strong. Of course, the defense of the Fire God's battle armor wasn't that strong. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan would have just stood there and smashed into Xiong. Just now, all the bones and flesh in Yi Qinghan's body had actually been shattered. It was just that Shintu Xiong did not know that Yi Qinghan had a soul ring that could instantly heal injuries. That was why he was so terrified. Yi Qinghan looked up to the sky and laughed. His gaze was like two knives as he stared at Shintu Xiong. He activated the heavenly demonic voice and said faintly, "Shintu Xiong, with the Fire God's battle armor, even if I stand there and let you kill me, you won't be able to kill me. He'll look below. You are utterly heartless. The immortal world's rank 9 martial artists have all forsaken the darkness for the light and surrendered to me. Do you think you can withstand our joint attack? Of course, they don't have to do anything. I only need to attack for a few rounds, and your primordial chaos energy will be completely exhausted. When that time comes, only death awaits you. Now I'll give you 2 choices. Offer up your soul fire and surrender to me, or die." What? Shintu Xiong had been fighting with Yi Qinghan, so he did not pay attention to the situation below. At this moment, his soul consciousness scanned and found that the warriors below were all standing together. The Soul Emperor Pavilion and the Beast God Temple were not far from them. Yi Feihu had brought the rank 9 experts of the Beast God Mysterious Territory, while Lord Devour had brought Jida and the others. More than 20 rank 9 experts were looking at him with disdain. Shintu Xiong spurted blood again. His resentful eyes scanned the area below. Blood Knight and the 3 Sovereign Realm experts felt a chill in their hearts, retreating a few steps. However, Zhu Yi, the Ice Queen, seemed to have made up her mind. She looked at him arrogantly and fearlessly. Mo Shanghuang and the others were scared out of their wits by Yi Qinghan's powerful attack. They immediately stood on Yi Qinghan's side. Lord Devour looked at the rank 9 experts, smiling with great satisfaction. She only had the lower rank 9 cultivation base, but she still rushed here. In fact, it was the right decision for her to come here. Under her brilliant plan, she had arranged so many things, and now it was really effective. Yi Qinghan had sent Ice Queen and Zhu Yi to each other, but she and Yi Qinghan had agreed on every word. The current situation was also arranged by her. All the arrangements were to create a sense of confidence in Yi Qinghan's victory, so that everyone would lean towards her side. At this moment, Lord Devour's plan was working. The Ice Queen and Zhu Yi had completely turned on their side. With the Ice Queen, Zhu Yi, and the Beast God, as well as Yi Qinghan's power, Shintu Xiong would not be able to escape. Of course, Lord Devour's plan and arrangement were all based on one condition. Yi Qinghan had to gain the upper hand in the first round. Yi Qinghan didn't disappoint Lord Devour. The cold power that was above all other powers was really powerful. The Vulcan armor had withstood Shintu Xiong's attack. The scales of victory had tipped to Yi Qinghan's side. However, Lord Devour had miscalculated one thing. The terrain here had been chosen on purpose. If Yi Qinghan couldn't win, he could hide in the material plane, or he could escape into the space vortex. But now, it gave Shintu Xiong a chance to escape. "You want me to be your soul slave? Dream on?" Shintu Xiong roared. The giant golden sword on his body didn't slash at Yi Qinghan, but aimed at Lord Devour and the others. Yi Qinghan was so scared that his soul left his body. He quickly teleported, and the 10 God-Slayer's spears blocked the giant golden sword. But in that instant, Shintu Xiong's body had transformed into a swimming dragon that shot upwards violently, and then he smashed head first into the spatial vortex above. Boom! Out of the 10 God-Slayer's spears, only 5 exploded to destroy the giant golden sword that no one was controlling. But at this moment, Shintu Xiong's body had totally disappeared. Damn! If Shintu Xiong returns to the God world, our race will be in danger. Yi Qinghan withstood Shinta attack. However, Ice Queen and Zhu Yi didn't show any joy. Ice Queen's face flushed red as she screamed in terror. They knew that Shinta Xiong had come out from the space vortex previously. They knew that Yi Qinghan could come out too. Once Shinta Xiong came out with his vengeful personality, he would definitely take revenge. He can't return to the god world. He can't escape. Yi Qinghan laughed coldly. The space vortex's exit is in the reincarnation plane. This place isn't far from the reincarnation plane. With Soul Emperor Pavilion speed, we can reach it in 2 months. Even if Shinta Xiong's luck is good, he can come out in this period of time. He has nowhere to run. He will definitely die. Chapter 1264. The last time Shinta Xiong entered the space whirlpool, he came out from the reincarnation plane. Then Yi Qinghan fell in and came out from the reincarnation plane. And there were countless corpses of different races in that strange space. Yi Qinghan guessed that if he fell into the space whirlpool, he would end up in that gray space, and the only exit would be the reincarnation plane. Of course, this was just Yi Qinghan's guess. On the surface, Yi Qinghan looked very sure, but in fact, he was not so sure. But at this moment, this group of people had just joined his side, and he had become the core of everyone. He had to act like he had everything under control. In fact, the reason why Yi Qinghan talked so much nonsense just now was to make Shinta Xiong submit, and not to continuously launch 3 to 5 rounds of attacks to wear out Shinta Xiong's chaotic energy, injure him, and kill him. There was a reason. He did not want to act cool, but he did not have the confidence to injure Shinta Xiong. Such a fierce attack consumed his cold energy like water. In just a short period of time, his cold energy had already been consumed by half. If Shinta Xiong had held on for a while longer and continued to attack, the one to die would have been Yi Qinghan. Today's battle could be said to be extremely dangerous. Reality proved that without Lord Devour's careful arrangement and careful planning, everyone would have been wiped out today. But at this moment, the situation was completely different. With the betrayal of Ice Queen and Zhu Yi, on Yi Qinghan's side, there was a peak 9th grade supreme martial artist like him. A beast god who could barely fight against a normal 9th grade supreme martial artist with the help of the beast god temple, and 3 peak 9th grade Ice Queen, Zhu Yi, and Yi Feihu. Shinta Xiong was completely defeated, and the outcome was set. The next time they met, with so many experts surrounding him, he would definitely not be able to escape. Of course, even if Lord Devour was extremely intelligent, without Yi Qinghan to temporarily suppress Shinta Xiong's powerful strength, everything would have been for naught. Yi Qinghan was actually quite depressed. If he had a few tens of thousands of years and Shinta Xiong fought with him, he would definitely be able to kill him. In today's battle, the overbearingness and power of the cold energy was fully displayed. The power of cold was indeed above all other powers. Yi Qinghan's overall strength had reached the peak of 9th grade supreme martial artist with the help of this miraculous power of cold. Everyone, enter the Soul Emperor Pavilion. We will go to the reincarnation plane. Shinta Xiong will not die. No one's family will be safe. Yi Qinghan's eyes swept through the crowd. His eyes were as cold as stars and filled with killing intent as he spoke in a deep tone. I'm sure you all have heard of my character. Be friends with me, and I'll treat you like a spring breeze. If he becomes my enemy, I will treat him like ice in the deep winter. Since you've chosen to be friends with me, Yi Qinghan, I hope you won't be half-hearted. Otherwise, you should know what I'm capable of. Let's go. Yi Qinghan's overbearing words made the hearts of all those who sought refuge with him tremble, especially the Ice Queen and Blood Knight. After witnessing Yi Qinghan's cruelty in Divine Gray City, and knowing how this young master killed 3 billion people with one palm outside the Soul Emperor Island, they immediately felt a chill in the depths of their souls. Of course, there was one person who understood Yi Qinghan's methods even better. Zhu Yi looked at Yi Qinghan with a complicated expression. Thinking of the methods that Yi Qinghan used on her in her courtyard, she couldn't help but blush. Yes, Lord. Everyone cupped their hands and bowed in unison. Yi Qinghan's shocking strength today had completely won their allegiance. To be able to defeat a peak ninth-grade supreme martial artist, how could such an expert not be worth following? All the sovereigns of the divine world looked at Yi Qinghan with complicated eyes. 10,000 years ago, when Yi Qinghan was still the first young master of the ethereal continent, he became famous in the Star Sea. Who would have thought that in just 10,000 years, the first young master of the divine world would become the first young master of the divine world? The Soul Emperor Pavilion flickered and took everyone in. The Beast God's people didn't enter the Soul Emperor Pavilion, but went to the Beast God Palace. The shining Soul Emperor Pavilion and the pitch-black Beast God Palace tore through the void and flew towards the reincarnation plane. The Ice Queen and the other ninth-grade warriors of the divine world were all sent to a side hall by the enchantress. Yi Qinghan and Lord Devour came to the main hall. Yi Qinghan was like a king who had returned, surrounded by people like stars surrounding the moon. All the important figures in the main hall were present, and all the disciples and subordinates that Yi Qinghan had brought to the Beast God realm were on the first floor of the Soul Emperor Pavilion. This battlefield was specially chosen by Lord Devour. Once Yi Qinghan lost, the Soul Emperor Pavilion would immediately enter the material plane, and the ninth-grade warriors would escape into the space whirlpool. Unexpectedly, the last escape route was prepared for Shun Tuxiong. Little Han. As soon as they entered, Lord Devour asked everyone to sit down, while she and Yi Qinghan sat on the main seats. Shun Tuxiong wasn't dead or severely injured, so they couldn't be careless. She immediately asked, "How sure are you that Shun Tuxiong will come out of the reincarnation's secret realm?" Yi Qinghan thought for a while and said, 60%. Good. Lord Devour said excitedly. Yi Qinghan was very conservative, so the probability was even higher. Once Shun Tuxiong came out of the reincarnation's secret realm, it would be his death. Thinking that he could finally take revenge for the Soul Emperor, Lord Devour was so excited that he shivered. After a while, Lord Devour looked at Xiao He and Li Shi, then turned to Yi Qinghan and said solemnly, "Little Han, if you encounter Shun Tuxiong and don't have the confidence to injure and control him, then kill him. As for Xiao He, we can slowly think of a solution when we return to the immortal realm. Shun Tuxiong is too dangerous." "Yes, boss. I'm happy enough that I can live forever. Don't harm everyone because of me," Xiao He immediately said resolutely. Yi Qinghan looked at Xiao He and felt pain in his eyes, but he nodded in the end. If he was alone against Shun Tuxiong, not to mention controlling and capturing him alive, he didn't even have the confidence to kill him. For the sake of his clansmen and the people of the Beast God's secret realm, if there was no other way, he could only join hands and kill him. "You guys stay here. Little Han, let's go to the side chamber to take a look." Lord Devour and Yi Qinghan discussed the details for a while, then stood up and walked to the side chamber. The monarch of the immortal realm had just reclaimed them, so it was time for them to be reassured. As the two of them walked into the side chamber, the people who were sitting nervously immediately stood up and respectfully greeted Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and said to Zhu Yi, "Queen Zhu Yi, come with me." The people of the Fire God's secret realm looked at Yi Qinghan, especially Zhu Yi's beautiful maid, whose eyes flashed with a trace of displeasure. However, with Yi Qinghan's strength, their discontented feelings could only flash for a second. "Ice Queen, long time no see. This way, please. Diego wants to talk to you." According to the agreement with Yi Qinghan, Lord Devour invited the Ice Queen away, and the two of them were in charge of comforting one person each. As long as Zhu Yi and the Ice Queen were completely loyal to him, the other level 9 experts would be loyal to him. "Pa!" Yi Qinghan took Zhu Yi to an elegant room. As soon as they got in, Yi Qinghan angrily slapped Zhu Yi's perky butt. His face was cold as he said angrily, "You've grown up? Colluding with Shun Tuxiong to take revenge on me?" Chapter 1265. Being suddenly attacked by Yi Qinghan, Zhu Yi's perky buttocks shrank back, and her face immediately turned so red that water could drip out. Thinking back to when Yi Qinghan had forced himself on her, Yi Qinghan had also ruthlessly slapped her buttocks time and time again. She couldn't help but feel even more bashful. She cast a coquettish glance at Yi Qinghan and angrily said in a low voice, "How would I dare to retaliate against you? Shintu Xiong used my fellows to threaten me, so I could only pretend to be polite. But now, I'm on your side, aren't I? Yi Qinghan, I'm loyal to you." Oh, really? Yi Qinghan couldn't figure out this woman. This green bamboo leaf snake was so cunning that only Lord Devour could compare with her. As Lord Devour knew that the two of them had a relationship, he asked him to comfort her, while she went to complain to the Ice Queen. For a moment, Yi Qinghan didn't know how to appease Zhu Yi. Seeing that Zhu Yi was pretending to tease him like she did in the Fire God's secret realm, he couldn't help but get angry. With a straight face, he shouted, "Take off your skirt!" "What?" Zhu Yi blinked, thinking that she had misheard him. But seeing Yi Qinghan's serious face, he didn't look like he was joking. She was enraged, thinking, who could be so overbearing? We just met, and it's still broad daylight. But he still pulled a long face and asked me to take off my pants? Yi Qinghan saw Zhu Yi acting like a little girl, bashful and angry. She sneaked a glance at him, but didn't dare to say anything. He was amused. He just wanted to annoy Zhu Yi. But now, he remembered the time in the back garden of Zhu Yi's mansion, when Zhu Yi's face was covered with white fluid. He couldn't help but feel warm in his heart. At this moment, seeing Zhu Yi's seductive appearance, his heart was stirred. Comfort? How to comfort her? Wasn't the best way to comfort a woman to have something that wasn't just friendship? The relationship between him and Zhu Yi was ambiguous. If he increased the intensity, wouldn't this girl fall in love with him? Recently, Yi Qinghan's strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Today, he had defeated the boss of the god realm, Shintu Xiong, who had reached the peak of the martial artist realm. Defeating Shintu Xiong meant that his current overall strength had reached the pinnacle of martial artists, 9th grade sovereign. At this moment, his confidence had also reached its peak, and his lofty sentiments surged. Back then, he wasn't as strong as Zhu Yi, but he still dared to force himself on her. At this moment, his strength was many times stronger than Zhu Yi's. Of course, he was even more unbridled. Two large hands grabbed Zhu Yi's waist and lifted her up, then threw her heavily onto the jade bed on the other side. Zhu Yi looked at Yi Qinghan, whose eyes were glowing with lust, slowly walking toward her. She was ashamed and angry at the same time. She thought to herself, how can this person be like this? How could he be so domineering? You want to F***CK me just because of a disagreement? What does he take this king for? Even if you want to F***CK me, can't you say something nice? Just as Zhu Yi was hesitating on whether she should resist, Yi Qinghan's large hands had already reached over. One hand went up, and the other went down. He searched up and down, directly grasping her two fatal spots. Without waiting for her to protest, the large mouth sealed her little mouth and began to wildly demand. Zhu Yi's mind, which was originally in a state of panic, suddenly exploded and became completely chaotic. The hand that was originally forcefully holding onto Yi Qinghan's body also became weak and powerless. Then she quietly hugged onto Yi Qinghan's tiger back. Forget it, forget it. This enemy is this king's nemesis. Meeting this enemy, this king will always be powerless to resist. Besides, his strength is so much stronger than this king. Even if this king wants to resist, I can't, right? I'll just let the demonic beast do it for nothing. Oh, this demonic whip is so thick, so strong. Zhu Yi's starry eyes were tightly closed, allowing Yi Qinghan to rampage on her alluring body. She thought about how she had already been violated by Yi Qinghan once last time. It didn't matter if he did it again. It only took a moment for her to think things through, and she calmly enjoyed the pleasure brought by this great human relationship. For a moment, the room was suddenly filled with a strong sense of love. The atmosphere was sluggish, and it was incomparably fragrant. Done. Pack up. Yi Qinghan once again repeated the feat from last time. He sprinkled Zhu Yi's face, feeling comfortable all over. Looking at Zhu Yi, who was like a puddle of mud below, he was sure that Zhu Yi wouldn't be able to play any tricks in this period of time. Satisfied, he put on his clothes and walked out. Before he turned around, he warned her, "Woman, if you don't get whipped for 3 days, you'd better be obedient. Otherwise, this young master will whip you to death next time." After teleporting back to the main hall, Lord Devour had finished his business. Seeing Yi Qinghan come back, he hurried to ask, "Is Zhu Yi okay?" Yi Qinghan laughed and patted his chest. "I'm doing it. Don't worry. If it doesn't work, I'll go there and give her another beating later." Everyone believed Yi Qinghan's words without a doubt. Only Gid gave her a meaningful smile and quietly gave her a thumbs up. 2 months later, a 9-layered pagoda and an ancient palace appeared outside the reincarnation plane. Then, countless figures flashed in the sky, and the ancient palace disappeared. In the end, 5 figures split into 2 space vortexes and flew rapidly. In just a blink of an eye, they disappeared in front of the fiery gazes. After Yi Qinghan and the others entered, the Soul Emperor Pavilion immediately flew far away, circling the area. Yi Qinghan took the lead and was the first to enter the reincarnation's secret territory. He immediately released his divine sense, covering the entire reincarnation's secret territory. Shinta Xiong isn't inside. Yi Qinghan's divine sense was so powerful that he immediately found out what was going on. His body was like a cannonball, flying towards the exit of the Yellow Spring River and the foot of the reincarnation mountain. Beast God Zhu Yi and the others quickly followed. Yi Qinghan had already found the reincarnation mountain. The warriors he had arranged the last time were still there. His divine sense scanned them and found that no one had done anything to them. After discussing for a while, he finally confirmed that Shinta Xiong hadn't come out. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. If Shinta Xiong came out early and snuck back into the god world or the fire god beast mysterious realm, then there would be irreversible consequences. On the surface, Yi Qinghan looked like he heaved a sigh of relief. However, his heart was beating like a drum. If Shinta Xiong didn't go to that gray space and didn't come out from here, this matter would be really troublesome. Although the important people around him were basically all in the Soul Emperor Pavilion and wouldn't be in danger. But if Shinta Xiong massacred the people in the Fire God Beast Mysterious Realm, as well as those from the Ice and Snow Island, Zhu Yi and the Ice Queen would immediately turn hostile. Even the Beast God might hate him. However, what could he do now? He could only wait here. Yi Qinghan told everyone to rest on the spot while his divine sense followed the Yellow Spring River. Once Shinta Xiong followed the Yellow Spring River and exited the space whirlpool, he would immediately surround and kill him. Chapter 1266. The citizens of the Reincarnation Secret Realm were terrified. Ever since Shinta Xiong slapped them a few times and killed hundreds of millions of people, they had been terrified. Now that 5 incomparably powerful figures had appeared, the citizens of the Reincarnation Secret Realm were even more terrified. Fortunately, some of the elite disciples that Lord Devour had brought were scattered in the Reincarnation Secret Realm. Yi Qinghan used his divine sense to organize these people to stabilize the situation in the reincarnation plane, so that the people wouldn't feel as if doomsday had arrived. The 5 of them stayed at the foot of the reincarnation mountain, quietly waiting for Shinta Xiong to come out, who knew that this wait would take a full 5 years. 5 years, and there was still no sign of Shinta Xiong. This time, not only Yi Qinghan was secretly anxious, even the Beast God and the other 3 were very worried. Could Shinta Xiong have already come out from other places? At this moment, the experts of the 3 great races were here. If they waited until they returned and all their clansmen were dead, then it would be a disaster. Although the 4 of them did not speak, they occasionally opened their eyes and glanced at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan could still easily feel the urgency in their hearts. If Shinta Xiong has stayed in there for tens of thousands of years, do we continue to wait here? If Shinta Xiong has already come out from other places, what should we do? Yi Qinghan was also anxious. After careful consideration, He decided to let the beast god go out and let him bring a few lower ninth grade sovereigns to patrol the immortal realm, the fire god's mystery realm, and the beast god's mystery realm. With the beast god, the speed and defense of the beast god palace, as well as the spatial blade current. Even if they encountered Shinta Xiong, they would still have a chance to escape. Seeing that Yi Qinghan had made arrangements, Zhu Yi and the other two could only continue to stay here. A year and a half later, the beast god brought back a piece of good news that made everyone feel at ease. Shinta Xiong did not return to the divine world, nor did he go to the fire god's secret realm or the beast god's secret realm. Shinta Xiong was a ninth-grade supreme martial artist and could not enter the material plane. Of course, he could not stay in the endless void forever, so Shinta Xiong should not have come out yet. However, the beast god had mentioned that the demonic beasts in the immortal realm had been acting strangely recently. The demonic aura in the air had also become denser. It was very likely that the demonic realm was about to launch another attack. Yi Qinghan did not care much about this. The last time the evil demons had descended, it was because the Starry Sea had not fought. If they had fought immediately, the evil demon army would have been able to suppress them completely. Therefore, he only called for the beast god to bring Mo Shanghuang and the hidden sovereign, Blood Knight Sovereign, back to the divine world and pay close attention to the movements in the divine world. He and the Zhu Yi Ice Queen, Yi Feihu, continued to guard this place. The longer Shinta Xiong stayed inside, the more at ease Yi Qinghan felt. As time passed, his power of cold would continue to increase, and at that time, he would have more confidence in dealing with Shinta Xiong. 1 year later, Lord Devour was still worried, so he sent all the warriors under level 9 to hide in the Divine Beast Secret Territory and the Fire Secret Territory. She had also returned to the God World. The Eternal Palace was still floating above the Supreme Island. She definitely had to find a way to get her hands on such a treasure. She asked Venerable Li Quan and Emperor Yu to bring Yu Qingsheng, Yao Ji, and the rest to join the patrol team. The Soul Emperor Pavilion started to patrol the void near the Divine World's major planes. The Soul Emperor Pavilion was fast, and there were no warriors under level 9 inside. They could enter the material planes at any time, so it was still very safe. Of course, the most important thing was that Shinta Xiong could not figure out Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, he would not dare to act recklessly. Everything was developing in a good direction. As long as Yi Qinghan could get rid of Shinta Xiong, the divine world would be completely stabilized. Yi Qinghan would also rule the world and unify the divine world. Time passed as the Soul Emperor Pavilion and the Beast God Hall flew at high speed. The Beast God, Li Quan, and the rest would occasionally send news from various parts of the divine world back to the reincarnation mystic realm. The divine world had completely stabilized. With Lord Devour overseeing it, the Eternal Palace was taken down without any suspense. Shinta Wuya and the elders of the War God Pavilion were all locked up. During this time, the divine world had changed its surname from Shintu to a Big Yi. The demonic beasts in the divine world had a small-scale riot. However, there were 10 level 9 experts overseeing the divine world, so they could easily suppress it. The demonic beasts were originally insufficient, so there was no major harm. The devil that they thought would descend did not come after a long time. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinghan and the other three had been waiting in the reincarnation plane for 1,000 years, but Shinta Xiong still had not appeared. Did Shinta Xiong die inside? The Soul Emperor Pavilion and the Beast God Hall were patrolling nearby, but they did not discover him. The Beast God Fire God's secret land also did not discover him. According to the information, there are level 9 supreme martial artists and 5 upper level 9 experts in the Water God's secret land. Shinta Xiong would not go there to die, right? As for flying out of the divine world, it is even more impossible. He will definitely die on the way. Yi Qinghan thought to himself. In the past 1,000 years, although his cold power had recovered a little, he was not stupid enough to follow the Yellow Spring River and enter that dusky space to find Shinta Xiong. Boss, are we going to keep waiting? If Shinta Xiong really died inside, are we going to wait here for the rest of our lives? Xiao He was bored in the Soul Emperor Pavilion. The last time the Soul Emperor Pavilion flew over, he stayed beside Yi Qinghan. But after waiting here for a few years, he was bored again, so he transmitted his voice to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan smiled helplessly at Xiaohe. He did not transmit his voice, but said solemnly, "Wait for another 3,000 years. If Shinta Xiong still hasn't appeared, you guys go back first. I will continue to guard here. If Shinta Xiong still hasn't come out in 10,000 years, then I will go in and search. If I still can't find him, then Shinta Xiong is probably dead inside." Ice Queen and Zhui Yi Feihu nodded when they heard this. As long as the Divine World Fire God's Secret Land and the Beast God's Secret Land were fine, it would be fine to cultivate here for close to 10,000 years. Of course, if they had to guard here for tens or millions of years, they would definitely have a headache. If Yi Qinghan cultivated here for 10,000 years, he would have accumulated a certain amount of the power of cold. Even if he went in and met Shinta Xiong, he would definitely be able to defeat him. Then continue to guard here. I'm going to take a nap first. Xiaohe was extremely bored. He turned into an illusion and entered the slaughter god blade on Yi Qinghan's back, sleeping soundly. The martial artists in the Reincarnation Secret Land had been searching for many years. These few lords were like statues, sitting cross-legged at the foot of the Reincarnation Mountain and not moving at all. Although it was weird, they were at ease. In the blink of an eye, 3,000 years had passed in peace. Yi Qinghan opened his eyes on time and then closed them again. He started to look into his soul space. With one look, he realized that there were new changes in his soul space. The source fragments in his soul space had actually grown slowly over the thousands of years. They covered the soul ocean fragments, causing the entire soul space to look like there were countless stars shining in the night sky. Other than that, there weren't any other changes. The few energies that had turned into countless gusts of wind were still flying around the stars in the sky, as if they would never stop. Eh? Why does this scene look so familiar? Yi Qinghan looked a little confused and was pondering about it. His soul suddenly shook, and he opened his eyes. The killing intent in his eyes exploded, and his aura shot into the sky, scaring the other three people beside him. Yi Qinghan's body suddenly turned into a shooting star and shot towards the sky. He shouted, "Shinta Xiong has come out. He discovered me and directly came out of the plane through the underground. He is currently escaping towards the tunnel. Chase!" Zhu Yi and Ice Queen Yi Feihu's eyes brightened, and they followed Yi Qinghan and shot out of the void. The four of them flew out of the void and saw that Shinta Xiong had just entered the tunnel. He obviously noticed them, but he didn't dare to fight them. Instead, he ran for his life. "Shinta Xiong, you can't escape." Yi Qinghan's divine power increased, and he shouted. He crushed the 3 jade talismans in his hands. According to the secret signal, he immediately notified the beast god, Jida, and Lord Devour. After a while, Yi Qinghan realized that one of the green jade talismans in his hands had shattered. He was elated and smiled. "Yi Feihu, take me and chase him slowly. I don't want to waste my cold energy. The beast god is not far from us, and he will catch up with us soon. Let's go to the beast god palace now. In this endless void, we can exhaust him to death." In the endless void, although Yi Feihu and the others were slower than Shinta Xiong, Yi Qinghan's divine sense was strong, and it could easily spread thousands of miles. Shinta Xiong couldn't escape in a short time. As expected, after chasing for an hour, a black palace flew over from the left and pulled everyone in. Yi Qinghan laughed as soon as he entered and said to the beast god, "Chase him at full speed. I will use the soul destroyer to disturb him. In this endless void, we can exhaust him to death with the space-shattering saber current." However, the beast god didn't show any joy. Instead, he said seriously, "Little Han, we can't waste time. I just came back from the immortal world, and the demon world is attacking the immortal world on a large scale. We must kill Shinta Xiong as soon as possible and go to the immortal world. Otherwise, the immortal world will be destroyed by the demon army." Chapter 1267. The Devil Legion is attacking the Divine World? How many devil monarchs are there? Yi Qinghan was also frightened. The beast god's strength was comparable to an ordinary ninth-grade supreme martial artist, yet he was so nervous. One could imagine how dangerous the divine world situation was. The beast god hurriedly said, "Many, all of them are lower grade 9 devil monarchs. These devil monarchs are all hiding. There are at least 5 of them. The demonic aura of the immortal world has become incomparably dense. Once the immortal world's demonic aura reaches a certain level, even stronger devil monarchs will descend. It seems like the demon world will not rest until the immortal world is destroyed." Yi Qinghan pondered for a while and made a decision. Full speed ahead. Kill Shintu Xiong first. There should be no big problem with Lord Devour and the 10 devil monarchs. If we can't kill Shintu Xiong in 10 days, all of you will return. I will go after him alone. The immortal world was the foundation of everyone. If the immortal world was destroyed and occupied by the fiend world would be destroyed. If the divine world was destroyed and occupied by the devil world would start attacking all material planes, medium-sized planes, and secret realms. All the divine world's warriors and living beings would become demonic humans and demonic beasts. The divine world would disappear in the dust of Pangeia's history. Hearing this, everyone felt that Yi Qinghan's plan was feasible. Although they were worried, they stopped thinking about it and prepared to kill Shintu Xiong first. After all, if Shintu Xiong escaped, the danger would be equally great. Divine energy burst forth from the beast god's entire body. The supreme spiritual treasure, the beast god temple, flashed with light instantly, turning into a shooting star that pierced through the sky. Its speed suddenly doubled, reaching the speed of an ordinary ninth-grade supreme martial artist. Yi Qinghan did not stop. He immediately sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. His powerful divine sense spread out and locked onto Shintu Xiong's soul sea. He used his golden soul threads to attack it. At this moment, he did not need to control his flight or worry about the space-shattering saber current. He only needed to focus on the soul-destroying attack. It was extremely powerful. Although Shintu Xiong's soul sea was protected by the primal chaos energy and origin energy, the golden soul threads could penetrate through every pore. Shintu Xiong was running for his life. If he was distracted to resist the soul-destroying attack, his speed would be affected. If he was not distracted, the golden soul threads could pierce into his soul sea. How could Shintu Xiong not be distracted? The answer was no. If the golden soul threads were to pierce through, Shintu Xiong's soul sea would become chaotic, and he would be finished. Therefore, Shintu Xiong's speed gradually slowed down and started to match the beast divine temple speed. Elder Ancestor, turn to the left and fly in a straight line. There are space-shattering saber currents ahead. Half a day later, Yi Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes and said something. Then, he immediately closed his eyes and continued to use Soul Extinguisher to interfere. Sure enough, an earth-shattering spatial blade current whistled over from the front. Shintu Xiong was unable to dodge and could only face it head-on. However, Beast God had received a hint from Yi Qinghan. He had flown hundreds of thousands of li to the left before continuing forward, avoiding the attack of the spatial blade-shattering current. The spatial blade-shattering current was like countless blades, shooting at Shintu Xiong's body, causing his speed to slow down once more. The Beast God Hull and Shintu Xiong's speed were pulled closer by tens of thousands of miles. All right, good. If there were a dozen more spatial shattering blade flows, we would be able to catch up to Shintu Xiong. Huh? Beast God's small eyes were filled with excitement. Ice Queen and Zhu Yi Feihu's eyes were also shining brightly. Shintu Xiong was like a blade hanging above their heads. If they didn't kill Shintu Xiong, none of them would be able to feel at ease. Shintu Xiong is definitely going to die this time. There aren't any medium-sized planes or space whirlpools nearby. Let's see where he can escape to. Beast God looked around and was even more delighted. He had roamed around the god world for thousands of years, and he was extremely familiar with the surrounding areas. Zhu Yi and Ice Queen Yi Feihu rubbed their palms when they heard this. They were all prepared to attack and wipe out this problem. A day later, Shinta was hit by 3 space-shattering blade flows. The distance between Beast God Hall and Shinta was reduced to 5 million miles. 3 days later, Shinta was hit by 12 space-shattering blade flows. The distance between Beast God Hall and Shinta was reduced to 2 million miles. 5 days later, Yi Qinghan's eyes suddenly opened. He hollered, "Prepare to attack." A space-shattering blade flow whizzed over. Shinta couldn't avoid being swept within. Beast God Hall dodged it once again under Yi Qinghan's warning. The distance between them had been pulled to hundreds of thousands of miles. "Attack!" Yi Qinghan hollered. The gates of Beast God Hall opened, and the 4 of them instantly shot out of Beast God Hall. Yi Qinghan circulated his cold power, fire god battle armor protecting his body. His long hair danced in the wind. 10 god-slaying spears appeared from the void along with scar-like space cracks, bringing with them a destructive aura. They turned into 10 streaks of lightning, bringing with them an unstoppable aura as they shot forward. 1,000-layer waves. Zhu Yi's eyes were like cold stars. Her charming body was filled with killing intent. Her green robe made her seem like a goddess that had descended to the world. In front of her, the power of space condensed into 1,000 layers of monstrous waves, covering the earth as they roared towards Shinta. Ice World Destruction. Ice Queen's face flushed even brighter than peach blossoms. Her hands danced, and her body danced. Under her snow-white dress, it made her look even more beautiful. As she danced in the dark void, snow and wind fell from the void. These snow and wind quickly condensed into hundreds of millions of small icicles, and the small icicles quickly fused into dozens of large icicles, shooting towards Shinta from all directions. Ayo! Yi Feihu and the Beast God also made their moves, conjuring up beasts that were several thousand meters tall. Beast God controlled the Beast God Hall to appear in front of Shinta. The 5 of them formed a fan shape and surrounded Shinta. Shinta had no way out of this place. Ah! 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 Yi Qinghan! Yi Qinghan! Yi Qinghan! Shinta hair was disheveled and his face was vicious. He gave off a brutal aura, like an injured beast that was about to die. Although he had chaos energy, he suffered a lot in the space whirlpool. The moment he came out, he was chased by Yi Qinghan. During these few days, he suffered from Yi Qinghan's soul destruction attacks, causing his soul to nearly collapse. As the distance got closer, his heart became more and more filled with despair and rage. Now that he was finally caught up, the only hope in his heart had turned into despair. He roared out in rage. His source energy and chaos energy protected his body. The power of space condensed into a few thousand-meter-long golden sword. It ignored everyone's attacks and locked onto Yi Qinghan. The golden sword slashed through the void and smashed down. How long? The attacks of the 5 of them smashed onto Shinta first. He spat out fresh blood and flew back tens of thousands of miles like a cannonball. In the void, the destructive joint attack of the 5 tore open a 10,000-meter-long crack. A huge firework over 10,000 meters bloomed in the sky. It was extremely beautiful. Shinta deathbed struggle did not cause the slightest bit of harm to Yi Qinghan. The fire god's heart on Yi Qinghan's forehead flashed, and with a teleportation, she easily dodged the shocking slash of the golden greatsword. Although the joint attack of the 5 was fierce, chaos energy was the greatest reliance of a 9th-grade supreme martial artist. It was the strongest power a martial artist could possess in this world. Although Shinta bones and flesh were shattered, his divine crystal and soul sea were not damaged. At this moment, he was using chaos divine crystals to heal his injuries while running for his life. Chase! When Yi Qinghan saw Shinta speed, which even Yi Feihu could not match up to, his star-like eyes lit up. He turned into a flickering shadow and shot forward. He shouted, "Shinta, you have nowhere to run. Either surrender and offer your soul fire, or die." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.